See, this is the presenter voice I'm on about.
Oh God, the doll.
There we go.
Yeah, and brain jump there. Yeah, first
The magic of editing.
The model
It's
as
big.
well. Yeah.
cartridges. Cartridges.
Gosh, man. Editing.
Go ahead.
all of us go at once. 15? Question mark.
Tulsa Miniature Model Works are proud. Okay, let's try this again.
Edit. Now let's go over to where are we at? Sorry.
Y'all are so good at this.
Does it like? I'm going to start that again.
NSFW. Oh, good gosh. Y'all don't want me to do that.
Yeah, we do.
Just mouth was like, nah, we're done.
Y'all are so good at this.
Oh, the head-to-tupper.
Yes.
It's easy. Head-to-tupper. That list's getting bloody long.
It is. It
Like,
is.
Scott, breathe, Scott, breathe.
You got to get up and in it.
I'm glad we did it before that.
There's no way to get that back. We can't go back.
No way to get that back.
Welcome, everyone, to episode 87 of the Plastic Posse podcast, brought to you by Tankcraft. Unfortunately, we're a few hosts down today. JB and TJ are having a lovely time in Atlanta, meeting up with a few people and enjoying a show down there. And we're also missing Doug. But don't worry, because we have myself, Mr. Grant Maybury, Scott Gentry, Justin Lentz, and, well, myself again. So, yeah, how's everyone been?
Been pretty good. It's good to see you, Jensen. You're looking great and dashing as always in the cheeseburger snuggie.
Part of the work uniform now, got to wear it.
Yeah,
It's in the contract.
I'm gonna have to get one myself. That's just looking sharp as heck over there.
It's like a next generation Snuggie. My Snuggies back in the day were not that plush and lovely looking.
It's like I never get out of bed.
Oh darn!
It's a hard life. It really is. So we'll go around the room and find out what everyone's been working on. Justin, we'll start with you.
All right, man. So I have been working on a few things. Nothing really, I guess, for myself. So I have a local buddy here who has a massive stash. I mean, we're talking like 5,000, 6,000 kits or something like that. Like he's got a back shed full of boxes, and most of those boxes will have a number, say 4. You're like, what's that number? It's like, oh, that's how many of those kits are in that box. Like, wow, okay. Anyway, so he had a box of the Revell B1, the 48 scale B1, and it had a 3 on it. He's like, hey, how about I give you this box and you build me one and you can have the other 2. So I was like, yeah, okay. And this was like probably 3 years ago or something, and so finally I busted that thing out and I have been slowly slapping this thing together for him. It's the old Revell white plastic, which is not fun to work on. And, it takes a lot of cement. It doesn't really react to the Tamiya quick setting extra thin stuff. So you're having to use just the regular extra thin and just like kind of let it sit there for a long time and then squish it together. And I mean, I'm using tons of plastic card to kind of jam in some of the gaps that are left. It's just it has not been very fun. Half of it was already stuck together too. So that's the other thing. I think Dukes, last time we talked, he called it the sloppy seconds. And yeah, I'm working with some sloppy seconds here. That's kind of been what I've been working on. In the meantime, I've been slapping a couple orcs together, Warhammer orcs together, just to kind of distract myself from the fact that this giant airplane is sitting here next to me. So that's what I've been up to. Kind of gearing up for the March Madness build that we do every year, me and some buddies. And so that is coming up. And I guess that's kind of my deal. I just don't want to kind of jump in anything quite yet, if I've got that coming up. So that's what I've been doing.
Very nice. Yeah, that is an impressive size. Okay, Grant, how about yourself?
So I have taken a little break for a week or so. I've been working a lot of hours myself. I did a couple of figures in Vegas, as we've talked about before. but I've decided to back away from figures for a couple weeks. I'm actually working on a Flyhawk, 1/700 scale HMS Hermes 1937 aircraft carrier. I was lucky enough to get the Magic Factory Gerald Ford in 1/700 scale, which is a beautiful kit, by the way. Fantastic kit. I am a wannabe shipbuilder at heart, and I hide in the closet with this. So I am going to start it. I had this Hermes for a little bit, and I wanted to build something first before I tried the other aircraft carrier. So I started with this one. I tell you what, Flyhawk, I know they make beautiful stuff, but I did not know it was this nice. The 1/700 scale stuff the detail on it is amazing. I haven't had much time to work on it. I've got like 3 or 4 pieces together, but just looking at the kit, the photo etch, everything else is just beautiful. So I'm going to build that for myself. I got some figures I've got to do for some people later on this, another couple of weeks. So I'm just taking a little bit of time to myself, but that's what I've been doing.
Very nice. Yeah, I've heard amazing things about Flyhawk. I've never actually had one myself, but every time I've heard someone talk about them or build them, always amazing reviews.
It's a beautiful kit. You guys wouldn't believe the detail. The portholes and the porthole covers on the Hermes are 1/700 scale too. It's amazing. It's just really, really amazing. Hard scale to work in, and they do a fantastic job.
Very nice. And our mighty one, Mr. Gentry, what about yourself?
Oh, man, we're in trouble. No, I've been getting ready. Got a couple trips. Next weekend is the Northwest Scale Modeling Show in Seattle. I've been working on a little mini art tractor I've been talking about, and that's coming together. I'm at the stage now where I'm kind of, it's interesting because it's going to go on a vignette. So I'm kind of backing into the weathering, if that makes sense. I'm doing the weathering, like the paint chipping and distressing and things like that, but I need to wait on pigments and sort of those things to tie it to the base. I got a stone fence from Black Dog Resin, which is okay. It looks really cool. And I've been buying like farm implements. I just ordered another mini art. It's called a farm cart. It's like basically a wagon, but it only has 2 wheels instead of 4. And I'm going to put a whole bunch of, I have a shovel and a scythe. Is it a scythe or a scythe? Jensen? You're a linguist.
I'm going to go with Sith just because it sounds Star Wars and it sounds cool.
Okay, cool. It's a Sith then. Anyway, and I've got a broom and Justin's like, nope.
It's a scythe, man.
Yeah, okay. Well, whatever. That wheat cutty thing, I have one of those. So yeah, no, just getting a bunch of implements that I plan on kind of leaning on or around the tractor and just kind of creating a little bit of vignette. I just love this mini art tractor, Lands Bulldog. It's just, I'm enjoying the heck out of it. I really, really like it. It's a great kit. Appreciate JB hooking me up with that. Yeah, that's what I've been doing, and really, really excited to go to a show. We're all suffering from some advanced FOMO today because JB and TJ are out with Aaron and Zach and Jackson having a great time in Atlanta. So we're kind of missing them and wishing we were there. But anyway, yeah, that's what I've been up to. What about you, Jensen? What have you been doing to keep busy?
Though not exactly building, going to keep on the theme of mini art. I've been buying. It just seems to be at the minute anything mini art release I want, and I'm starting to get to the point it's like I'm going to have. And as soon as he announced / released the US Army K-51 radio truck with the trailer, me and Jackson, TJ and JB, we all saw it built up on the mini art stand in Eindhoven at Scale Model Challenge. As soon as we saw it built, it was a cool project kit to release anyway, but seeing it actually built up with all the PE and the back opened up in the trailer was just like, that is a damn cool model. So as soon as they actually landed in the UK, I went to my usual retailer, picked one up, and usually can't just buy one thing when we shop for modeling things. So I threw some mini art figure sets in there, like the Calvados Sellers, Men with Wooden Barrels, Cheese Sellers, and Street Musicians. Really wanted the Street Musicians. One of them would have been really handy when we were doing the facades from AK. But they weren't out yet. They were announced but weren't released. But now I have them, so hopefully more scenes and vignettes and facades and things like that to come. Also partnered / affiliated with Gallery Airbrushes now. So I've been sent the Mobius 3 to review. That's going to be put through its paces. That review is going to take a bit of time. Don't think you can really review something after like 5 minutes of spraying it on a piece of paper and saying, yeah, this is good. So that's going to be kind of put to the test and worked with. But apart from that, there's lots planned. It's just getting my arse in gear and actually getting on with stuff. But this week's actually been really productive. Like the bench has been cleaned. Cleaned from what? Good question. But yeah, we've been getting stuff in order. And it's like, the motivation to actually do stuff and not just sit at the computer and distract myself with Baldur's Gate is really good. So we're actually making progress. The steam's back in the engine.
Oh, that's good. That's good to hear. You brought up those those new facades. Man, that kind of more traditional one. They're both really, really cool, but that traditional one, I think I'm gonna have to get one. I really, really like it, and sure enjoyed that first facade that I did.
Yeah, they were great fun. Just like so different from quote unquote regular modeling. Just take something out of the box, get a bit of prime on it, and just start painting and weathering and going to town. It were nice. Some people really just like the grabbing something and painting it. Really good fight, brushing up, pardon the pun, on brush painting techniques and things like that. Yeah, I want more of them. They were great fun.
There's so much you could do with that. And I think AK's hit a home run with those things. The new facades, are great. And what they come out with next, I'd like to see. But, like Jensen and you said, Scott, it's just fun just to, you get everything in the box. All you do is you open the box and you go. You may add a little bit of things here and there. That's a great idea with those street bands for the mini art to put on one of those facades. That's a fantastic idea. I love those.
Yeah, and I had
jump on one of those, man.
They're a lot of fun, and it's great when you're finished. Put them in put them in a picture frame. I'm gonna take mine up to Seattle with me, but they look really good hanging on the wall. Kind of a different kind of subject for your modeling room. They also introduced me to the Gen 3s. I know a lot of you guys paint with the Gen 3 acrylics, but I was pretty impressed with how those performed as well.
Yeah, I'd like to. I had some serious FOMO while you guys were painting those, posting all these pictures up, and I was like, man, I'm all by myself over here. I'm the only one not painting these things. It made me really sad. So I'm gonna have to jump in next time.
Yeah, for sure. I got to get Grant too. I sent him a really, really nice resin. Lionel Johnson. Is that a Primark?
Yeah, it's Lionel Johnson's the Primark of the Dark Angels chapter. Yeah, he's Lionel Johnson, and I think it's Lionel Johnson, or it might be. I think it is. Yeah, I got to build that. It's actually sitting on my table right now because I cleaned all the resin parts off of it, and I've got to pin it. So yeah, I'm gonna actually. That's something I could do today. So I think I'm gonna attack that today. Thanks, Scott.
Yeah, no problem.
Is that one of the what do they call it? Fail cast? They're always talking about fail cast, the resin stuff.
Yeah, it's one of those, and it's a great kit. Don't get me wrong. Scott hooked me up big time, so I can't wait. It's a very dramatic pose, a lot of motion, which is really cool with those figures because you get a lot of those figures. You just get the standing, but this is really nice, and it's Primark size, so that's nice.
Yeah, I've got the one of the resin Weird Boys, one of the Orc Weird Boys with all the little stuff coming off of it. He's pretty wild looking too, and that's.
Oh yeah.
I spent a lot of time just pinning, just getting pins set and getting ready to get them. And I just in typical Lance fashion, I decided to put it back in the box. I'll come back to it at some point.
I just can't wait for Jensen to start on that. It's a beer truck that you're doing, right? The mini beer truck.
So it's the tri-wheeled milk truck is the first one I'll be doing.
Oh, the milk truck.
Oh, okay. Cool. One of the ones that has just like the Italian kind of looking ones with the front wheel and the two in the back. Yeah. Oh, that's cool.
But it's so cool because it's like the full engine steering, like plumbing, like it's all out.
Oh, that's great.
Okay, so we're going to move into our first discussion topic, and we're stealing this idea from JB. He can't complain. He's in Atlanta, so he has no right to complain. But it's what makes a good modeling tutorial. Now, this was actually a really good question when it came up, and he mentioned it in chat. Because it's a really subjective question. We all learn differently through different mediums and different techniques. So I'm really interested to go around the room and find out from you personally, what's a good modeling tutorial? Like, how do you learn best and how does it register with you the clearest? Scott, we'll start with you. Like, for you, what's a good tutorial?
I think I appreciate it, Jensen. I thought this was a great question that JB posed, but I think for me, it's a couple different things. Number one, I think it needs to be reflective of an individual style. So, when we look at YouTube channels or Facebook tutorials that we like, these guys are all amazing modelers. But I think more than the fact, like, let's take Martin, because everybody kind of relates to him, right? More than the fact that he's an incredible modeler, he definitely has a style. And that's what always kind of catches my eye. Even if it's maybe not the way you would approach something, I really like it. Like Jensen, your Mac kit on the dock, that was awesome. I love the style of that. So I think first and foremost, it's got to kind of capture me there. And then the second thing is, if you're doing a video, let me have tight, sharp camera work and something that I can clearly see. If you do that, I'm going to come back. I'm probably going to watch it over and over and over again.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I'll come more back to that when it's my turn, but for now we'll go to Grant.
I agree with what Scott said. If you're going to do camera work, make sure it's good, close, clear. I kind of prefer when you do stuff like that as a voiceover, not as you're trying to work. Because if you're trying to work on something and you're talking at the same time, I think there's just the individual watching it will have a little bit of problem focusing, I think, in my opinion. But for me, I think it's the way that I am is I'm more of a visual reader kind of person. So I like tutorials that are, a written tutorial for me is really good with pictures because I like to follow instructions and it's just the way I am. So if you have everything part A, part B, part C, whatever, 1, 2, 3, whatever, and you're showing pictures of how you did that process and you're explaining how you did that process, to me that's the way I learn a lot better. And that might be just my age and the way I was brought up and the kind of job I do and stuff like that. But that for me, that's the learning process I use. And I don't get me wrong. I love YouTube videos. I'll watch a YouTube video of someone who's building something all day long and I'll watch it again and again. But I learn better by more of a hard, for lack of a better word, a hard copy kind of style. And when you're doing that kind of clear, precise photography is fantastic. Sharp photography, like camera work, good explanations. Just don't say I did this and then go to the next picture. Explain what you did. It helps me a lot. A process like that is a lot better to understand and help the reader move on. So that's my opinion. I mean, I love videos and I love tutorials and stuff like that, but I'm just more of a hard copy kind of guy. I guess that's just the way I am.
That's a really good point. That I certainly, when I'm building a model, instructions work great, but like you said, we're all different. I really like seeing something rather than reading about it. Like a good example is the tank art books. I've read those all cover to cover many, many times, but actually seeing people doing the techniques, actually seeing the way the brush, how much pressure the brush is given to put the paint on the model and seeing, where the brush strokes start and end, and maybe some of the, seeing the how thin the paint is with, as it actually happens. Some of those details for me are really, really important. And so I'm more of a visual learner, but I think that's a really good point. We all kind of do things a little bit differently.
Yeah.
Learn differently. Yeah.
Yeah. I think JB's, magazine, the first magazine he released, that was fantastic because I can follow that process a lot clearer for me. Don't get me wrong. I'm sure he would do an amazing video with, but again, like you said, it's how each of us learns. And I think that has a lot to do with just the way I guess it's the way I was brought up or, stuff like that. So I just learned better with a process driven hard copy. It's just weird. I can do, and it's not that I'm not, raising the torch and trying to burn down YouTube or whatever, but I just, that's the way I learn. Talk about it. I mean, Martin Drayton, I could watch his videos all day too. His stuff is, but then I could read Adam Wilder's book and learn just as much for some reason. I don't know. It's just individual taste.
No, yeah, like you say, each tip, it's completely personal. It's a lot of things to do with how we were brought up, how we learned in schools, how we learned in our jobs. But how about yourself, Justin? What works best for you?
Yeah, I think, obviously sharp photography and everything like that everybody's talked about. One of my biggest deals is I love to have a list, like a recipe of what you're going to do. I love seeing a photo of, hey, here's this paint pot. This is the exact one I'm going to use. This paint is the one I'm going to use, et cetera, et cetera. Just a list of the materials that you're going to use. But a thing that falls to us as modelers, I think you'll see, and I'm sure y'all have seen this before, where you've got somebody who's like, well, that technique didn't work for me. It didn't work. And it's like, well, what exactly did you use? You go back and they've got Tamiya flat black, and somebody instead uses like Mr. Surfacer black, for example. It's like, well, that technique doesn't work unless you're using exactly what was listed, by the tutorials. That I think just a list of the, again, just let's say the ingredients, on this recipe for this particular, tutorial. That's one thing that really, that I think is really important. And then again, it's our responsibility to follow that. And if you don't follow it, don't gripe about it if it doesn't work out very well.
Yeah, that's a good point. You go off a recipe, you're going to definitely get different results. Jensen, how much of a factor is, like, I mentioned person's individual style? How much of a factor when you're finding a tutorial or something to watch is that for you?
Yeah, individual style kind of matters a lot. So I could go on for quite a while here, but what works as a good tutorial / lesson medium for me is the important thing is I can only learn off people who know what they're talking about. And I mean that in the most polite way. The people who I look up to, aspire to be like, or whose work I really appreciate and really enjoy, they're the ones I am more insistent on trying to learn from. Individual style, again, we'll go back to Night Shift. To me, if I could get my models to look like that, I would die a very happy man. So his style is a style that I would absolutely love to adopt myself. So those tutorials are going to be pretty much perfect for me. One thing I'm going to mention this, something I do, and you'll hear in these podcasts a lot, is in a video tutorial, I don't like to hear a lot. And that's something I do all of the time. It's why I don't do video tutorials. Even if I'm trying to read a script and do voice work, it's a filler. So when it comes to video medium, I like it to be voiced over. I like it to be very, very clear and straight to the point. Just literally describing what's going on the screen. Something Scott said. Crystal clear camera work, good lighting, make sure everything's in focus. No mess, no confusion. I'm showing you the only things you need to see. Personally, for me, my most ideal perfect tutorial is actually sitting with the person who's modeling.
Yeah.
I think my first, just racking my brain about it, I remember this last year's Nats, I was sat with Jackson in TJ's basement. We were doing some really late night modeling. I think it was 3 a.m. And I was actually sat with him watching him, how he does everything. And it's so different to a video. And I love watching video tutorials. But with them, they do get shrunk down. They get edited into obviously a compact, watchable video, most like 40 minutes long. A lot does get cut. And sometimes it can be just those tiny little important bits like, oh, so he's speckling this stuff on, but I don't know how thin that was, or if that was a mix of products, or the pressure he's actually using to flick. Sometimes things can just go missing in videos. But if I'm sat with someone, I can literally ask them as they're doing it, oh, what are you actually doing? Was that a mix of so-and-so? And you can see the pressure they're applying, can see literally everything. It's happening live in front of you. I've always been a visual learner. No amount of text is going to register with me, really. You can send me a list, a document, miles long. I'd like to think I've got a good mind's eye, but it will get lost. I really, really love the AK FAQs. To me, they're as perfect as a book tutorial as you can get. The diorama one is just miraculous. It's so crystal clear. Good annotations with each image that explain what's going on in the image. But yeah, I said I could go on a while. I think I kind of did. But in short, I like to be as visual as possible. And for me, that's being with the person teaching me.
Yeah, I think that you can lose even the best teachers. There's some very small things that you can lose in translation. You just don't. What's the thing like, oh, and I painted the rest of the owl or whatever, I think Ian recently did that with that little armored car thing he's been building. Even if you're the best teacher in the world, there's still some small things that can make a big difference that you're just going to gloss over. That it's second nature to you. It's not important anymore, but to get to that next level, I think they're very important things. And I think that's something that sitting with somebody, you don't miss those. or not nearly as easy.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. And kind of building on what you were saying, and also what Jensen was saying, thinking, okay, well, what makes a good tutorial? Well, let's take a look at maybe what makes a bad tutorial, and then maybe kind of contrast that. Like, if you want to lose me on YouTube, do a video that's going to allegedly be about a technique, and then don't do any voiceover at all, and just have some obnoxious freeware music playing in the background and text on the screen. I don't have time for that. That's just personal. I mean, no offense to anybody if that's what you do, but it just doesn't work for me. And also I like the voiceover, like Rick Lawler is really good. Clayton Ockerby, who joined us recently, I really like his narration. Martin Kovach, their narration and their voiceover tends to be very relaxed and very it's detailed, but it's not boring. You know what I mean? It's engaging, but it's at a pace that is really, really, I think, natural, as opposed to, some of the things that I mentioned before. Loud music, I think, is distracting, especially without voiceover, and then editing, videos for a technique that run, an hour and 20 minutes aren't probably going to usually grab me very much. You look at Martin's videos and, they sort of run in that 20-minute to 40-minute range, depending on what he's tackling. And I think they're well edited. And Plasmo, a little bit of black magic doesn't hurt, right? So this guy, as he's doing it, you're looking at it, you're going, oh my word, what are you doing? And then at the end of it, you go, wow, that was amazing. So I think, he pulls out his Harry Potter wand or whatever and makes some pretty amazing things happen. So that never hurts.
I agree. I think if you got a video that's going to be an hour and a half and longer, or an hour longer, you're going to lose me in a tutorial, because I kind of just go off in my own little way. So, keep it precise. And I do it every time too. I'm an guy. I think we all are. I'm sure Scott can confirm that by having to do all the editing of this stuff. And that kills me. I mean, that really does. And that'll drive me nuts. Yeah, but you talk about bad videos. Is the worst one, I think, is lighting. When you have something that's they're showing you something and they just have a spotlight of a camera on it, there's no surrounding lights. I can't handle that. My eyesight's not the best as it is, so I need glasses. And then if I have to wear glasses just to watch your video trying to pick up stuff, that's just wrong. Or a video that's supposed to be about a process and it ends up being, either a promotion for the figure or the vehicle or the individual. You'll get, that'll shut me off in a heartbeat. I won't be if you're going to show me how to, do non-metallic metal, show me how to do a non-metallic metal. That's why I'm there, is to learn. I mean, give me a chance. That's the things that, like we talked about, bad. On the other hand, if you want to see some really good videos on tutorials, I think, my opinion, there's a lot of good figure painters out there in all genres that are very, very, very good, that do the system right. They do it 20-minute, 25-minute. But I've also, like Jensen said, is I love to sit down with somebody and just learn from what they do. That the ability to learn is just watching someone, how they paint, what kind of strokes they use, what kind of, how do they mix their paints on the palette? How do they do this? How do they do that? What kind of brushes are they using? I've seen guys that, do fantastic work with, Michaels, get 20 brushes for $5. And, and I've seen guys that use Winsor & Newton number 7s and they can't paint themselves out of a corner. It doesn't matter.
Who's really good at what you're talking about? Really good is Duncan Rhodes.
Yeah.
I've watched that video. What is the figure you sent me on the horse?
The Nurgle, the plague figure.
Yeah.
I remember.
I've watched Duncan's video of that like 4 or 5 times already. And he starts out the segment and he okay, this is the brush I'm using, mm-hmm. and these are the 3 colors I'm using, and this is what I'm going to do. And then he shows you, and it doesn't take a lot of time. Mm-hmm. And, there's not a lot of fancy music going on in the background. He's really, really good at that. Tip of the hat to Duncan. He just does a really good job. To your point about figure painters.
Don't get me wrong. There's others. If I could sit down, but I learn things from my local groups. You don't have to sit down with amazing people. You can sit down with guys at your local group and learn so much from everybody. I mean, I sit here and I talk. We have a little group we do painting and we talk and as we paint and work on models and stuff like that. And I learned so much from people in that group. I mean, it's just everybody. You don't have to be sitting next to, Duncan Rhodes or, Roman, you don't. You could be sitting right next to your best friend from 20 years now that's been in the same group who just builds models, but he's got this thing in his head that he's always done and you never heard it before. And it's going to help you no matter what. That thing's going to help you, maybe mixing paints a certain way, what kind of thinners he uses. I learned how to use Zippo Lido fluid as a thinner from a guy that was, in our group. And I never thought about it. It works fantastic, and there's things like that I learned from people, how to paint bricks, stuff like that. So
no, there's a guy here in Salt Lake that taught me, showed me how to paint a figure, and he used Everclear. He went to the liquor store and bought Everclear, and she was like, okay.
Yeah, I know guys that use Everclear in their airbrush, and they'll clean their airbrush. They'll use it to thin paints. It's just something you have. Yeah, it's just one of those crazy things. They're not drinking it. Well, they might be drinking it, but
but why?
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, if it works, it works. But
yeah,
why?
Yeah.
Y'all need to get that guy on this podcast. We need to hear from him.
Well, unfortunately, he's passed away. So sorry about that. But, it's just one of those things. You can learn from everybody. And I think that's the point I'm trying to make is that you can learn from everybody. And it doesn't have to, it could be, Rick Lawler or Sam Dwyer or, Scott Gentry or whoever. You can learn something from everybody. And, it's just, just take the time. Have a good, sit down with somebody when you have a chance and just learn. I mean, I know Scott sat with JB and learned a whole lot. And,
yeah, I learned two things. First of all, how to paint the facade, but second of all, how to cook Italian food, which was amazing. Second of all, that's another podcast.
That's a second. Second of all, I'm surprised it wasn't Korean because the man cannot have enough Korean.
Sitting down and learning from somebody. I'm still pretty bummed that I didn't get to sit down at NAS last year and build bases with y'all. Was that when Rick was leading that thing, wasn't he?
Yeah, that was amazing. That was amazing. And what was great was, I think we all had the expectation we're going to come in here and you're going to do it and you're going to show us. And he was like, nope, I'm going to put all the stuff on the table and you can grab whatever you want. And then I'm going to come around and just talk to you. And he kind of forced us to teach ourselves. It was really, really cool. And then, he would make suggestions and everything. But yeah, he was great. That was a lot of fun.
There's a definite regret on my part. I was like, no, what did I missed it, man. Next time.
Well, you were busy, trying to find place for all those belt buckles,
Come on, man.
I think for me, what would be considered like a quote unquote bad tutorial is stuff I've seen quite a lot is video tutorials where all of a sudden they've just skipped a lot of stuff. It's like, whoa, how did you get here? How did this happen? And you've not explained any of it. When it comes to visual stuff, and this isn't just modeling stuff, this is anything like usually video related. I think we're all a little guilty of this sometimes, especially on the podcast. I call it presenter voice. And it's kind of what I'm doing now. It's all over the place. It's up and down. It's quite enthusiastic. But it's when you have modeling videos where the host could not sound less interested in what they're doing. That will instantly, it's like, okay, if you're not interested, I'm not interested either. So it's just like enthusiasm. That can instantly grip you. And that's when I first saw Martin's videos, I know another mention for mine. One of the things that grabbed me was his enthusiasm and his sense of humor. I didn't actually have much interest in a ball tank or a very small, I think it was a 1/72nd, was it a Shah? Those subjects didn't really interest me, but his videos did. And that's because of how enthusiastic and how engaging he was. And that's the same with that's the same podcast, videos, TV shows, literally anything I'm listening to, the person has to be excited about what they're doing. Yeah. Otherwise, why should I be?
Yeah. Convey some passion for what you're doing. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I couldn't agree more.
Yeah, that monotone voice that I am here to show you how to paint this vehicle. Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh.
Sorry, just like the simple and the cockpit was painted green. It's like that was really helpful. I'm glad you told me that really helped.
Well, this has been a great discussion point, Jensen. Thank you, JB. But I'd love to hear from everybody out there in the posse. What do you think makes a good tutorial, whether it's a YouTube video or a Facebook post or PDF presentation, what really makes a tutorial a good one for you, let us know either on the Plastic Posse group, or you can send those to plasticpossepodcast@gmail.com.
The Plastic Posse podcast is sponsored by Tankcraft. In addition to their awesome cutting mats, Tankcraft also makes some incredible scale modeling tools for your workbench. Want to keep extra thin cement off your bench and in the bottle where it belongs? Check out Tankcraft Glue Base, designed to stop glue spills in their tracks. The glue base is made from solid milled aluminum and comes with a stable rubber base pad and can accommodate most square and round cement bottles. And while you're there, check out their line of cutting mats and other unique modeling tools. Remember, Posse listeners get 15% off their first order by using the code POSSE15. So head on over to tankcraft.com. That's TANKRAFT.com.
All right, let's move on over now to Justin, who's going to walk us through some models that caught our eye from the Plastic Posse group page. Take it away, Justin.
Okay. Hey, guys. So I guess this week, the thing that I found, I'll go ahead and start. The thing that I found was actually something, Scott, that you had posted by. So it was posted by somebody else. So it was kind of like one of those things where you kind of have to dig to the bottom to see who actually built the model, you know. And the guy's name was Karol Konversky, I think is his name. I don't know if any of you guys follow him. Let me find his page again here, just so I can kind of let y'all know. What? Give me 2 seconds here, y'all. Sorry, I had it pulled up. It was a 30-second scale Sopwith camel wingnut wings. It had like the white and blue stripes all over it. I think you posted that 3 or 4 days ago, and it was posted by a guy named Espacio Virtual Modelista. Right,
and then great page, really great page.
Okay, see, there's a lot of pages I need to be following better. So anyway, I went down that rabbit hole and finally found him, and his page is, I was talking with Peter Fidlotsky today about this, Facts in Scale. This guy's page is Facts in Scale, at least on Facebook. And man, he's got so many cool models on there. Just one after another. I think he's working on one of the Edward 109Ks right now, just all torn up. And then, you know, the engine, he's got the engine installed and everything. So anyway, I would suggest y'all go check that guy out. But like I said, probably three or 4 days ago, you had posted that, Scott, and that was kind of the thing that I kind of latched onto this week. What about you, Scott? What have you found?
Yeah, I want to talk about a couple. The one that really caught my eye, it kind of blew me away. A modeler named John Chan did a 1/72nd scale SS model. It's a Flak Panzer 38T, and a little tiny model, but incredible tritone, and he's chipped it back to the dark gray underneath it, and really, really cool. Kind of a 30, kind of a martyr chassis, but with a flat gun in the middle of it. Late war camouflage put on it. Really, really nice. And, they've got it in the picture next to a bottle of AK Gen 3. So it gives you a true sense of scale, and thought that was really great. And then also want to give a shout out to a friend of mine here in Utah, Cameron Corliss. He did a couple of F-104 starfighters, one in SEAC camouflage and one that's a natural metal. And that was both of those were great. So great job, Cameron. Anyway, let's move over to His Highness Jensen. What caught your eye this week?
So I couldn't help but scroll through the page and have my eyes caught by our good friend, Rob Riviezo. His SU-76i. Rob's just such a damn good builder. Like, it's usually always multimedia. It's usually a few kits slammed together. I love seeing kits with like the raw PE, resin, metal tracks, plastic, usually different color plastic from different kits. It just looks amazing. And I'm even more surprised to see it recently just got a bit of white primer on it. So he does use the airbrush, which is amazing to see.
No, you're making a mistake. There's no way that Riv primed a model.
No, I was as shocked as you, believe me. I had to do a double take.
Just kidding you, Rob. It was a great model.
I just realized I say that I've not touched a model in I don't know how many months, but we're going to skim over that. It's fine. But yeah, I fell in love with that as soon as I saw it. Rob does amazing work, and it's always a pleasure to see.
That's one of the ones that he was working on for a while, right? And then he put it up on the shelf and then brought it back out. Yeah, that thing was crazy. I think last time I was on the podcast, I think I talked about this too. Sometimes I think it's a shame to paint those. Just all the materials that you armor guys use just blows me away, man. Such cool, just talent. Love it.
Yeah, and Rob's a master of it. I mean, he always uses aftermarket to good effect, and he's really good, really talented guy.
I thought it was Brian Krieger at first because, that's a total respect to Rob because, Brian's one of the best ones out there. And, Rob's, definitely carrying the torch. And I was actually, it is such the SU-76I it's a cool vehicle. If you don't know what it is, it's a tank destroyer that the Russians took made off of a Panzer III chassis because they got so many of them from Stalingrad and other battles. So, it's just a beautiful kit, and he did such a great job. They always were beat up and tore up, and they just were, haphazard builds, and he did a great job.
What did you, Grant? What did you find this week?
Well, I found an individual lady named Julia Mashura. I'm going to pronounce that right. I don't think that she is Russian. I know that. I can't pronounce her name in Russian very well, so I don't do the Cyrillic thing. But she's one of the best figure painters I have ever seen for detail wise. She was working on an Eagles and cartridges, and she was actually, the brushwork was so minute and beautifully done that it was, she actually catches the way that the Turks and the Russians do their cloaks, their saddle bags, their saddle blankets and stuff like that from the very early ages. So they're very, very detailed. They're very, very rich. They're very, very colorful. The work is it's so hard to explain because it's so minute. If you take like a Winsor Newton 7 000 brush and take a few more bristles out of that brush, she's using that to do lettering. She's using it to do any kind of swirling, anything like that. And you can see it, and it's not clumped together, and it's not like, I don't know how she does it. Between the paint to the figure, you figure the paint would dry that fast. And it was it's unbelievable. It's just unbelievable.
Yeah, that was one that I thought about. I was like, somebody else is definitely going to pick this one.
Thanks for that, Justin. Right, all of you get comfy, grab a brew. It's time to talk about upcoming modeling shows and events.
All right, so I am going to start this out, but I am going to need some help from my friends because this list is huge. So here we go. Fresno IPMS Scale Modelers presents Sprue Bowl Post Super Bowl Bash on February 17th at Fresno City College main cafeteria. Doors open at 9 a.m. and general admission is free. You can check out more details over at the Fresno IPMS Facebook page. Our friend Rick Cooper is on the team, so wish you guys some good luck over there. 2024 Model Mania Show will be held February 17th and 18th at the Museum of Flight in Seattle, Washington. B. Scott and JB will definitely be there along with Jim and a whole bunch of other individuals. Cannot wait. It's a great show. It's not actually a show. It's more of a display, which is a great theme. No, there's only one award given out, and that's given out by the curator of the museum, but it's a great time. You go and see some great models. More information is available on our webpage. KCCON 2024, I am not Gazette Con or whatever it is, will be held March 9th at the First Church of the Nazareth in Kansas City. Details are available at IPMSGreatPlains.org, or you can reach out to Stuart Malone on March 16th and 17th. The SCADA 2024, the Norwegian National Show and Competition will be held at the Air Force Museum. Well, that'd be cool. I am not even going to try that in Norwegian. The venue will be short drive north of Oslo and an even shorter trip from the international airport if you are traveling. The theme special category will be finished products. Next is the 2024 Old Dominion Open on February 24th at Richmond Raceway Complex in Richmond, Virginia.
Okay, IPMS of Central Connecticut's annual Swap Meet and Build Day will be Saturday, March 16th at the Buckingham Congregational Church in Glastonbury, Connecticut. We'll be selling models and having a build day for anyone who wants to participate. All modeling genres are welcome. If you want to sell models, then the cost is $10 a table. Drinks and refreshments will be available. Contact Sack Peace on Facebook for more details. RightCon Made in Ohio will be held March 23rd and 24th at the University of Dayton. Doors will open both days at 9 a.m. and more details can be found at ipmsdayton.com. HeritageCon 15 will be held at the Canadian Warplane Heritage Museum on Sunday, March 24th from 9 a.m. till 4 p.m. More details at IPMS Hamilton Canadian Warplane Heritage Modelers Facebook page. Commies Fest 2024 Egg Planes and Chibis will be held on Saturday, March 23rd at 9 a.m. at the Wings Over Rockies Exploration of Flight. I think everyone I know exists is attending that show but me. Very jealous.
I'm even going, Jensen, all the way from Lubbock, Texas.
I have no excuse.
And I actually don't think I'm nearly the furthest. I'm only 8 hours away. So
I hear such good things. One day I need to make it. Then there's the BuffCon 39 Scale Model Show, which will be held Sunday, April 7th at Knight's Events Center in Buffalo, New York. Doors open at 9 a.m. and they feature a bunch of new categories for juniors and also new categories for Gundam, Gunpla, Warhammer. You can contact Jeff Keenan for more details or go to www.ipmsniagarafrontier.com.
The AMPS 2024 International Convention will be held April 11th through 13th at the Century Center in South Bend, Indiana. Details at www.amps-armor.org. That's something y'all are going to, isn't it?
Yes.
I'll have some FOMO.
Jensen.
Are you not going?
Jensen.
Well, when is it? It says it on the script. When is it? We'll see.
April 11th through the 13th.
Early birthday present. I'll just have to beg my mum.
There you go.
Mommy, will you pay for my trip?
The Tulsa Modelers Forum and the Tulsa Miniature Motor Works are proud to be present at the Route 66 Model Expo. The show will be held Saturday, April the 20th at Park Church of Christ in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Check with Casey Gray on Facebook for more details. Okay, the Can-Am Con 2024 presented by IPMS Champlain Valley and Mount Mansfield Scale Modelers is being held on Saturday, April 20th, 2024 at the Williston National Guard Armory in Williston, Vermont. The show begins at 9 a.m. and the theme this year is the Junkyard. For 2024, they have added a Gundam category and entrants can choose display only. 2 models or less are included for the price of admission, which is only $1. That's pretty awesome. Check out the Mount Mansfield Scale Modelers Facebook page for more info or contact Ron Hogue at Badcheck75, BADCHEK 75 at hotmail.com. And then the Houston Model Mania show will be held May the 4th at the Stafford Center in Stafford, Texas, and has dual themes this year for 2024. May the 4th be with you and adversaries. They will have a great vendor area, an awesome facility, and a special Subarashi Mecha Award for the best mecha. They're also implementing a gold, silver, and bronze system for their show, which is starting to sound kind of like that's kind of taking hold, huh? That's cool.
Yeah, absolutely. PAXCon,
yep.
Right?
Setting it up.
The Best of the West Model Show and Convention will be held Saturday, May 18th at the Orleans Hotel and Casino. This show is put on by a group of 5 different modeling clubs and runs from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. This is a great group. We've been to this show before. We're going to go to it again this year. If you guys are in that area and you can make it, encourage you to go. You can contact Jay Bergeron on Facebook for more details. Also on May 18th, the Silver Wings Club in Sacramento present SilverCon 2024. This year's theme is 1944. Doors open at 9 a.m. and the show will be held at the Town and Country Lutheran Church in Sacramento, California. For more details, you can check out IPMS Silver Wings on Facebook or you can contact Drew Savage. The 41st annual Smoky Mountain ModelCon will be held on May 25th at the Knoxville Catholic High School Gymnasium in Knoxville, Tennessee. The show's theme this year is 1946 to 1955, and all the deets can be found over at KnoxvilleScaleModelers.com. And on June 22nd in Salt Lake City, very excited. We announced this last podcast, but we will have a brand new hobby show, the first annual Rocky Mountain Expo. It's an open format show. It's been organized by a bunch of great modelers and friends over here in Salt Lake City. The show is a partnership between the Great Basin AMPS Club as well as several other scale modeling clubs and special interest groups in the Salt Lake City area. area. Awards will also be gold, silver, and bronze. The AMP show will be judged per AMP's criteria, and the rest will be open judging. We'll announce many more details soon, so stay tuned, or you can keep an eye on our Facebook here, or check out RockyMountainExpo.com. And last but definitely not least, please don't forget a 48 and 48-hour worldwide group build and fundraiser for Models for Heroes. That's coming up the weekend of March 8th. That starts at 7 p.m. And runs till March 10th at 7 p.m. Join us as the Model Geeks and the Posse will be leading the North American, version of that. We're going to have a lot of fun. We're going to build a lot of models, and mostly we're going to raise money for an awesome cause. You can check out more details on the Plastic Posse page, or Model Officers Mess, or of course Models for Heroes. So take a look at that, but please join us for that. It's a great cause.
And one of the best auctions you will ever be involved in. There's some fantastic stuff there, people. So you need to be there. It's for a great cause, near and dear to all of our hearts. Please join us.
Definitely. We're going to have some amazing items, great sponsors, Bases by Bill, AK Interactive, Tamiya USA, Tankcraft. You guys are going to love it. And those auctions always get a little bit intense.
Little sniping going on here and there.
Yeah. So those are worth showing up just for that. But no, it's a chance to just kind of put this on your calendar, tell the wives and the kids and the cousins and everybody, say, I'm building some models that weekend, and we'll raise some money for, like I said, just a terrific cause. All right, well, let's move on to our main feature. Grant and TJ and I had this past weekend a chance to sit down and have a really awesome conversation with Sam Dwyer and Rick Lawler. They are old friends from online for a long time, and we just have a great discussion about modeling and kind of how they see the space. Anyway, enjoy. All right, welcome in everybody to another Plastic Posse podcast conversation. My name is Scott, and I am joined today by Mr. Grant Mayberry. Grant, how are you doing?
I'm doing good, doing really good. Getting ready for the big rainstorm we're supposed to have out here. So,
and on the other side of the country, Mr. TJ Howler. How you doing, TJ?
Not too bad. Can't complain.
Awesome. And then it is also our pleasure to have a couple of great guests and friends with us. First of all, from here in the United States, Mr. Rick Lawler. Rick, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me on.
As always, man. Love having you. And very, very special guest. He hasn't been on our podcast before. He's been in high demand, but we've talked to his management and given a few bribes, and he's been able to join us. So the Sam Dwyer from Down Under. Sam, how are you doing? Welcome to the Posse.
Fantastic. How you going? Good to finally be on with you guys.
You got to see the glow around Sam right now. It's amazing.
Give it up. The glow is the fact that summer's finally hit here in Melbourne, and it's hot, really hot.
Well, hopefully the air conditioning's working or something close to it. But anyway, well, Sam, let's start with you. Just maybe, if you don't mind, maybe do a brief kind of self-introduction, who you are, kind of what modeling you like to do, how you got tangled up in this hobby, a few things like that.
I didn't know there'd be a quiz. Jeez. All right. So look, I've been in the hobby for a long time, probably 40 years, which makes me sound horrifically old. Okay, boomer, right, TJ? Since, building kits with my dad when I was a kid, sort of thing. So we've all been there. And, with our parents at some point. So, mostly armor. But then, of late, back into aircraft. So staying well and truly out of my swim lane and dabbling in aircraft, which is when you have all the armor kits you want to build, which I know sounds a bit weird. If you have all the armor kits you want to build and you start branching out into aircraft, there's a whole new world of aftermarket and stuff you can buy. So, and I think that's a separate hobby, is buying and accumulating aftermarket stuff rather than building them. So, I've started down that path.
Specifically with Phantoms.
Oh yeah, bad. Probably can't see in the shot. It doesn't, I don't know. This is not a visual medium, but there's a pile of phantoms up there above my head. So yeah, phantoms are my thing. I think that was the first kit I built with my dad as well. Was a Hasegawa Phantom back in the day. So that's sort of core memory of building that. So just love them. And look, there's so many options. And it's phantoms in aircraft and panthers with tanks is my go-to. So if I'm feeling a bit sort of stuck creatively, I'll go and build a panther or build a phantom.
Yeah, Goldfinch told me you have like 16% of all the Phantom models in Australia.
I think he's made that up. No, it's not quite that bad. I think I've got 8. So, and then I've physically run out of room in my cabinet. So I've hit pause on building aircraft. I finished the F-35, the Tamiya kit, and that's the last one until I get a new cabinet. So I'm literally full.
So we need to do a GoFundMe to get you a new display cabinet.
Yes. That's it. The thing is, this is going to sound ridiculous. The cabinet that I've got there was handmade by some old dude who's, I believe, given up making the cabinets. And I don't want to get another cabinet that doesn't match that cabinet. So I kind of a bit stuck. Do I buy 2 new cabinets and get rid of this one? Or do I just suck it up and get something that'll do? So it's a dilemma. But I've tried contacting him a few times and he just doesn't answer his phone. So he may have passed on. Who knows?
Well, hopefully not for him, but hopefully figure out a solution to that problem.
It's again first world problems.
Exactly. Rick, maybe same thing, maybe just for a review, maybe give people kind of a brief introduction of who Rick is and how you got into the hobby and what you like to do.
Well, I'm actually older than Sam, so because I'm 50 years plus on the modeling thing. So I remember my first kit when I was 5 years old. It was a birthday present. It was a little race car, and that started the whole thing. And I don't know, at least for me, my story is I kept building all the way through and continued to do so. A little bit of ebbs and flows, but I didn't have those big breaks like so many of us in our hobby do until we get, past the kids and the schooling and all the rest of that stuff. So been with it recent years, started working a little bit more seriously in the hobby, and maybe Sam and I can kind of get into that a little bit because I think that's where our paths really start crossing, especially in, I don't know what it'd be, early 2000s, late 90s, probably someplace in there.
I think so. Yeah, back on Planet Armor days, wasn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And that was intentional on my part, and I'll go into that. I'll come full clean confessional here, like a good Catholic. And then, now I work for some of the companies and have been for 15, almost 20 years now. So I'm in the industry now, theoretically retired, but I still make models every day and still produce for the industry and things like that. So enjoy it. And then recently, of course, spending a little more time with my newfound freedom, attending shows with some of the blokes here on the screen.
Yeah, we have a good time. Well, let's go back to kind of, Rick, what you've been alluding to. Maybe we'll keep it with you right here, but maybe talk a little bit about how you met Sam initially and kind of how long you've known each other and maybe what some common experiences you guys have had.
Well, Sam, feel free to chime in whenever I get things wrong or all the missing pieces here.
I have a very foggy memory of that time in regards to Planet Armor. I know a few of us used to hang out there, but I don't have specifics that I can remember particularly.
Well, my specific is because I was chasing you. I was stalking. Really? Yeah.
Don't make it weird.
I know it was very intentional on my side.
Too late.
So, yeah. It was probably about 2004-ish that I started to take my building much more seriously. Everything was kind of came together in my life and I could spend more time doing it. And I hadn't been published in 20 years or whatever, it'd been 30 years. And the hobby had changed so much. And so the internet was new. I think it might have been still on dial-up, if just right off of dial-up at that point in time. And I started seeing all the works that were out there. And Mr. Dwyer here, the Sam Dwyer's work, stuck out on Planet Armor and Missing Links, just in terms of eye appeal for me and what appeared to be his accessibility and things like that. Go a couple of years beyond that, and I go to Euro Military in 2006. And that's when I see in real life, not Sam's work, but other top-level work. And I knew that those are the pieces that needed to go, that's the level of quality that would need to be done in order to go into magazines, because that was kind of my goal. So returning home, I specifically started looking for people and how to access the people and try to match myself in their world and say, hey, and Planet Armor, like Sam has said. So Missing Links was a great place to kind of showcase your models, kind of more or less finished builds, sometimes progress shot. But Planet Armor was basically you just show your progress day after day after day after day. If you chose to do that, and it was a very open forum where anybody could chime in and ask questions and whatever. So I specifically remember looking at the members of Planet Armor and finding people that I knew had top level work and had been published in magazines. And Sam was like one of my, top 3 that I was trying to find. So I joined Planet Armor. And that's probably when we first started meeting, because I started pestering him like crazy, asking questions, just trying to get onto his radar to some degree. And he still is this way. Very gracious, very patient with me. I mean, I didn't have the chops or the skills. I was just some guy from the States who was like always chiming in on his projects, but he was great. And then I remember, Sam, don't let this go to your head at all. But when I finally did start getting magazine articles, some requests to do it and acceptances, I was struggling in my magazine writing, the actual text. And once again, I started looking at Sam's work within the magazine, how he wrote his articles and just the kind of this flavor and the casualness that he brought to it. And even kind of the sense of humor that he brought to it all. Just the personality came out through his writing. And I went like, okay, now I get that part of it too. And so on both sides of that issue, Sam has been a real big influence, especially in my early days, in terms of just helping me get my feet on the ground and kind of figure out how to maneuver into this world, like I said, to the industry side of it, writing articles, getting to be a better modeler and all the rest of it.
It's awesome, dude. I didn't realize that I'd made that much of an impact. I think back in the early days of magazine article stuff, I was writing for Spud. So for Spud Murphy, because he was doing, what was he doing? What magazine was it? Was it Tamir? Yeah, no, it was before, maybe it was post that actually, because he was doing the Tamir mag, or the offshoot of the Tamir magazine, the military miniatures one.
Yeah, military miniatures and review, right?
No. That was American magazine. Oh. No. This was it was an offshoot of the TMMI, which is the British Tamir mag that Marcus Nichols does. Spud was doing the armor version of that. I can't remember the name of it now. So I was writing for Spud heaps. So because I met him at Euro in 2003. When he was practically giving away accurate armor kits, like just, way underpriced. Oh, it's not my company. Here you go. Hopefully Derek Hansen's not listening to this.
Well, to bear Rick out, I mean, Sam, you're a pretty generous and genuine guy. We were at Nats, I think it was a couple years ago, and he knew I was into the looks, and he's like, Scott, come here. And he drugged me over to this vendor stand, and he shows me this really great Tosca Luke skit. It's a great deal. And he's like, you're getting this, and if you're not going to get it, I'm going to get it for you. And
it was $15 or something, wasn't it? It was a bargain.
Yeah, it was.
And it's one of the best kits ever built, ever produced by Tasca or Asuka. Yeah.
Yeah. And if you ever need a reference, holy cow, I think I asked Sam for a couple of pictures of a tank, and I got you had to download and unzip the files. I had several volumes worth of references. So Sam is definitely a generous guy, Rick. I can confirm.
Yeah, and that's continued too, because when I worked on that Yag Panther, was it a year ago or whatever, and I'm lost with Panthers. I don't know anything about that Panther stuff. I mean, I admire them. It's not my world. I know that if you screw up, you'll have the mob after you. That's not right. This isn't great. It's not accurate. You screwed up here and there, whatever. So I dropped Sam a quick line and said, this is kind of what I'm thinking of doing here. Can you steer me in the right direction? And like you said, Scott, he pulled together some reference images and some notes and sent them off, within a day or so. And so, it has continued. It's really great.
That's such a shame in the hobby, and that's a real downer. I feel is like if people have a go and give it their best, and it feels like it's a lot of German stuff, and they'll post something and then they get absolutely thrashed online about I haven't done this right, I haven't done that right. It's like, well, just all right, ease off. Everyone's having a go and trying to do their best. They haven't gone out of their way to make it wrong, and they haven't gone out of their way to maybe not get it as accurate as they could. So it's a real disappointment. It really annoys me when I see people doing that.
Well, in my case, I actually do go out of my way not to make it accurate because I'm just basically lazy.
Hey,
Now,
come to the right place. Yeah.
I don't know what internet you use, Sam, but I've never seen any wereaboos ever get mad about it's something incorrect on a German tank. That's weird. That's like,
Yeah, it is odd, isn't
that
it?
happens? I'm
Yeah.
Weird.
totally unaware of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially when you paint it a color.
Yeah.
Just-
To be fair, I've also seen some dudes, if you put the Sherman road wheel on wrong, or whatever, they, or a Cromwell road wheel on, they lose their minds, Or if you paint a Cromwell in, OD instead of SCC, whatever color it is, they lose their minds.
Make sure you paint the left tail light on a Sherman red and the right one.
Yeah.
Nothing, or you will get at least 3 people that will tell you that, because for whatever reason, that's the thing that they love the most. Which, hey, everyone's got their thing. If Sherman taillights are your thing, that's cool.
I think we may have discussed this at Nats, actually. There's
Yes,
always one
because-
person who chimes in with the same comment every time that you do something like that.
That's why I always post my Shermans without the taillights painted, just so I could see if I can lure them out, and it always works.
The trolls.
Yeah, so you guys talked about, Sam, you came to America a couple times, at least once that I know of, because I was there. You got to Euros. Rick, you've been all over the place also. So being an international modeler, I guess, is what we're going to call you now. How has that affected, or how you see the hobby with your own work? Has that helped you? Is there things that make you, different styles?
I'll jump in first if you like, Rick. I admire all the stuff you see online, and seeing it in person is always a great deal better than seeing it, on the interwebs. It probably has in some subliminal way affected the way I do things, but I kind of I don't necessarily, I try not to anyway, sort of subscribe to a school of any, sort of style. I try to keep it really, all my stuff really low key and really sort of grimy and grubby and not necessarily that real stylized sort of look to things. Whether I'm successful at that, I guess remains to be seen. But so I guess it's sort of pushed what I think of as good, what good looks like. But it hasn't necessarily affected the way I'll go out and paint something tomorrow necessarily.
Rick?
I kind of echo what Sam said, although back, like I was talking about in the beginning, it was important for me to see what models of the highest level caliber really looked like in real life. That was important. And I think I've even mentioned on the podcast on an earlier time is my work at that time wasn't at that level, but I could see that I wasn't too far away. Not that I'm going to get gold at Euro or Mosan or whatever, but I wasn't too far away. And so it kind of spurred me on there for a while. Contrary to maybe Sam's experience, because I got into the hobby or into the industry, I had to, part of my job was to demonstrate all these different techniques and paints and theories and styles and stuff throughout the years. So my personal style kind of goes all sorts of different directions for a long ways, because I was painting and building models to a large degree as promotional purposes. So when modulation comes out, I'm doing modulation for things. If a new filter comes out, I'm demonstrating filters and doing this and whatever. So that part's a little different, I think, in because I would go to the shows then internationally, and these techniques would be catching on, and I could see them being applied by, again, the world's best modelers and some really high standards, which was really cool and kind of gratifying too, knowing that you kind of had an influence, for better or worse, I guess, in that part of it. And it isn't until recently, quite frankly, that I don't do that part of the work as much anymore. And so now I'm starting to settle down to more of trying to figure out my own style. And so even like going to World Model Expo and things like that recently, I can pick up on things that I admire that fit my own personal taste and eye, and say, okay, this is something I want to try to apply in my, it could be the smallest things, like, well, we've been talking about Spud, the way he finished the shovel on the back of his Stewart.
Crazy.
It's just like, okay, that's something I can apply, taking the time to do something to that level and that caliber.
Yeah, that's interesting you mentioned Spud and his work. It's kind of, it feels like the whole way that, what is good what people deem as good has come full circle, and feels like it's kind of moved away from the real shouty, real, super loud finishes with crazy modulation and stuff. And then you look at Spud's work and it's like hyper real, and just it looks like a dirty tank. It doesn't look like a painted dirty tank. It looks like a real thing.
At least on the armor side of things, I think that's been in my opinion, a healthy evolution. And we've talked about this before in some of the other podcasts, is how all the different techniques and influences kind of work their way through and such. And I think having all these different things that we've kind of gone through over, just talking about the next new thing or innovation or pushing yourself or however you want to term this whole conversation, having that, I think, a period of, I don't know, Sam, what would you say, since late 90s, when we started getting Miguel and Adam and some of these other folks pushing different ideas that everybody kind of dabbled into it to some degree one way or another. And I think it rose everybody's skill levels, because all of a sudden, at least in my case, I became adept at all sorts of different types of products and what they would do and how I could apply them in certain ways. And I know now I can visualize something in my head and I can go, okay, I can do that one of 3 different ways now. Yeah, and that's been important. And I agree with you, Phil, about the realism. I think that's where my style has tended to start to really, over the last, 3, 4, 5 years, that's where it's kind of settled down to.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, I agree. Spud's latest vision, pictures of his Achilles with the rounds in it that he's showing in the crew bay, unbelievable. Your Panther that you took to SMC, Sam, amazing. The one you made a pic, you took you had the picture of and you made the model of, amazing, and it's most realistic. And just the guy here, that I do see that circle, like you guys are saying, that it's been an arc, and I've been around it long enough to remember Planet Armor, to remember all this stuff to see. Yeah. When it all became popular, and then now it's kind of going, it's not kind of, it has gone back all the way around to that hyper realism. The TJ is really good example of this too, where he'll take a picture and he'll match everything, and he does that really well. And to me, that's modeling. That's when you have an armored vehicle like that, you could build, there was 23, you could build, 24, but as long as you keep it real, there's no problem with it.
Yeah, I think building from a photo is just as valid as cherry picking all the cool features off certain things and including them on one model, because, like you said, it might be the next vehicle in the column, right. And sort of thing, and model that one, and that's just as valid. And there are some gatekeepery people in the hobby who, no, you must do it off a photo, or you must do this, you must do that. No, you don't, do what you want. Yeah. It's meant to be fun, sort of thing. So cherry pick all the cool stuff off one model, or off several tanks or aircraft or cars or whatever, and then put it on one model. It's all good.
Just do both, like I do. It's fun. It's fun that way.
Yeah.
Definitely.
The building off a picture is hard, though. Mm-hmm. I don't really enjoy it. I do enjoy it, but I also don't enjoy it.
Well, the problem always comes, you don't see the other side of the vehicle half the time, so you're guessing.
That's it.
Especially when you model Shermans and you're friends with Dave Hobbs. So if you don't get one thing right, he will message you to tell you that, hey, moron, you didn't do this right.
A blessing.
And it's always like, it is always like at the least opportune time. I'm like, oh, thanks, Dave. You could have told me that 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, there's some German dudes who do the same sort of thing, and aircraft dudes do the same sort of thing. They'll wait till you finish building it, wait till you finish painting it. Come on. With that Panther, the knocked out one, I couldn't work out from all the photos. Again, lots of photos of the thing, which is cool, but still not the photo before it was burned or rolled over, and how it was knocked out. No idea. To the point where I contacted Lee Archer, who writes the Panzer X books, and asked him, hey, have you've seen this one? It's a relatively sort of familiar tank. Do you know what happened? Do you have any pre-shots of it before it was knocked out? And they've been trying for 5 years to work out what it is, and they can't. So, well, if they don't know, I figure I can get away with doing what I did with it.
Yeah. It's funny though. Whenever you do that too, I always find it funny that you'll do that, you'll build it, and you'll get it done. You've been looking for the back pictures. As soon as you get it finished and posted, there's like someone posts like 8 pictures of what you wanted. It's like, oh yeah, I've had this sitting in my thing forever and I forgot all about them, or something like that. So, as we're talking about models now, so what's on both of your guys' benches right now? Go ahead, Sam, you're first.
So I've got a bit of do I want to say clean slate build? Are we doing that? It's a Panther, for something different. A mate of mine out here, he refuses to jump on the latest fad of the newest kit. So he won't buy a take on Panther G or a Dragon, even Panther G. He's got 20 Tamiya ones. So we started building a Tamiya Panther G, which is 1993 release. So it's an old one now. So I thought, well, why not build a Tamiya Panther G? So yeah, and it's fun because I mean the Tamiya kits are like they're so therapeutic to build. They're ace. So, and I've been building Panthers forever, and I've got a spares box full of bits that don't get used, Dragon kits and take-on kits and stuff. So I've been dressing up a Tamiya kit with Dragon bits, which is really good fun. Yeah, and it all fits together.
That's great. What about you, Rick?
I'm still in that. I used to be a one kit at a time guy, and I've got one, two, three next to me that they just need bases. They're done, and I have a base almost done for that rail shunter. But I started working on these silly figures with you guys down at Las Vegas, and I finished that little troll end of last week, and I said, okay, I'm going to get back to my usual stuff here and get these finished off. And then I got back this afternoon, and there was this little resin figure that I had in my cases. I still was unpacking my stuff. And it was just kind of sitting here. And I pulled it out and I'm like, God, this looks, and it just pulled me into it. So it's this Nest heavy machine gun or something like that. It's some kind of apocalyptic deal. So I'm painting that. Hopefully I'll get that done. I need to get these other projects done. What I'm looking forward to, and talking about kind of moving out of your swim lane, as you mentioned, Sam, is I have a buddy build coming up with Jamie Hago coming up soon. I mean, as soon as I get started. He's already started, but he's working on two kits, one for a magazine and one that we're doing for the buddy build. So it kind of keeps going back and forth in order to stall. So I'm about ready to start that. I just got notification today that I've got some aftermarket, the cockpit and such, that should show up on Monday. And everything, that's kind of my rush to get everything else done, because then I will start with the buddy build and try to build my first airplane in about 8,000 years. I think haven't built an airplane since the Wright brothers built theirs.
They're good fun. They're really good fun.
Yeah, you can do it, Rick.
I'm intimidated. Let's put it that way.
I could, if I can build an airplane, literally anyone can build an airplane.
Well, I take that. I take it from you. Yeah, TJ, you build beautiful airplanes, but if you can do it, I could do it. And then Sam, he does the same thing. So I've got two people there as great examples of people who cross genres, knocking them out of the park. So I'm like, okay, if they could do it, I can't suck that bad.
I mean, Ian built one, so if Ian can do it, literally anyone can do it.
Okay.
And there's a certain amount of satisfaction too as an armor builder of translating your skills over to aircraft. And it also, I've got some really dear friends who build aircraft, but it kind of also tends to annoy aircraft builders when armor guys go straight across really smoothly and start building aircraft and build them relatively well. It annoys them, and that's fun. So,
well, that's
feed the trolls.
I was going to say that was a cool part of the approach that Jamie, when he contacted me, asked me if I'd be interested in doing it. He's going like, I just want you to build it in your style, whatever it is. Take your armor stuff and slap it onto this airplane, and so it's going to be a Malta-themed Spitfire. So that's what we settled on, and so I'm looking forward to it. And we spent a few times chatting, and I think the reference I'm going to use is crashed. It's crash landed. I'm going to put it on a little base with water and the whole thing. And so off of some photographs like we were talking about. So I'm looking forward to that. That should be a lot of fun. That'll take me for a little while here.
Building airplanes is fun just because as an armor modeler, just because you get all the backhanded compliments about oh, wow, you did a really good job, for an armor guy. Oh, thanks.
An armor guy.
Thanks. Yeah. This isn't that hard, right? I hate to break it to you guys. It's still just plastic. That's all that it is.
Parts. There are 9 parts. Get over yourself.
Cockpits are easy. No one sees them.
Well, mine has to be open because he did crash land and he opened the cockpit. So I have to actually detail out the cockpit. And I don't have to wait with the landing gear because it was crashed into the sand. So.
Oh, even better.
Yeah.
Buddy builds are always good for motivation too. Always good to get the juices flowing. I mean, feeding off each other's builds and that sort of stuff. Yeah, they're always really good fun.
Yeah, they're a lot of fun. So I'm looking forward to that. So like I said, clear off a few things off my bench here. Maybe tomorrow, I'll put this other little guy away and just get these done, and then I'll be ready to go.
Sam, you're also, I know for a fact that you are because you showed me a picture of it, but I literally have one in my Sprue Brothers cart right now, but you're building or have built the Magic Factory Bradley.
Yes. Yeah.
It's pretty good, right?
So good. So good. Yeah. Bradley is one of my all-time favorite vehicles. Yeah. As soon as I saw this release, I was like, that's me. Paid for express shipping from Hong Kong. It was more than the cost of the kit. Don't care. Got to build it. And it builds like a dream. It really is. And they've incorporated a ton of detail in it. 3D printed parts, I should say. So the story behind that is they were only ever going to release the M2A4, some very modern version of the M2 Bradley. And someone in Hong Kong, one of the guys that knew Magic Factory, said, well, it's actually really close to a Ukrainian version. All you need to do is just release, another sprue with some parts with a new turret bin and various bits and pieces. And they did it in 3D print rather than in a sprue. So they didn't have to tool up for a whole new sprue and released a kit that they weren't expecting to release, which is why it came out at the same time as the other Bradley. So they released concurrently. Yeah, and it's terrific. Yeah, it really is.
And you built the Ukrainian one.
Yeah, I built the Ukrainian one. Yeah, with the ERA armor blocks on the side, which I kind of backed myself into a corner with because I've painted them yellow, and I can always repaint. No biggie. But it seems to be a lot of them were green rather than like painted over green, some weird color rather than yellow. Because I guess yellow would stand out in Ukraine to a certain extent. But I'll probably do another one without the ERA bricks entirely. Just do it straight slab side. So and yeah, hopefully they do a bunch of other Bradleys right back to an M2AO. Very Reforger Germany. Very early one with the the non-armored sides sort of thing.
Yeah, the flotation device on the wrapped around the sides.
That era. Yeah. So I've got the Tamir kit in the cupboard to do exactly one of those, just to, tart that up. Always wanted to do the flotation rubber sort of things hanging over the top of the sides, over the grab handles on the sides and stuff. Yeah. Figure out a way of doing that with epoxy putty or something.
Yeah, I saw when I was in the service, we had got our M2A3s or two M2A2s, and they still had the flotation stuff on them. And they're like, yeah, we're going to float them. And we're like, oh, hell no. That's a lot more steel than those originals.
You float in them.
Exactly. And just going back to that Bradley, I've got both of them, the M2A, the Ukrainian one basically, and the other M2A4, which could be done as an A3. And they have the ADATs, which is kind of cool, which was the air defense version that they built. Okay. Well, it was a test vehicle basically that they used. It was 2017. So the air defense weapons, like you said, the kit is amazing. The detail on it is spot on. It gives you all the baggage links or the baggage holders that go on the side of the vehicle and photo etch. It's just beautiful. Yeah.
In the past, you used to have to resort to Voyager or someone to get those, didn't you? Or Edward even to get those, but to include them in the kit is great.
It's got all the screens and everything, and the slide molded 25 millimeter with the concaves. And
being who I am as a person, I couldn't help myself. With millions of photos of the damn things, and the Blue Force Tracker GPS antenna on top of the gunner's dog box. The Ukrainian ones don't have that GPS antenna fitted, so it's an empty tray that sits there. So I contacted Magic Factory and said, hey, look, here's some photos, and it's empty. Oh yeah, we'll just include it in the next production run on a 3D printed sheet. I was like,
wow,
that's not now, but that's good for the next people who buy them.
Well, I was impressed the fact that they put the flag, because behind the gunner's position on the gunner's sight, there's a 3-prong flag holder that you use for gunnery for ranges. And the Tamiya puts it in there, but it's just three little things. But this one, it actually has the holes in them and everything. And I was for as small as that is, the quality they did was fantastic.
And the non-skid everywhere. And
everything. Yeah, that's just beautiful. It's just a beautiful kit. I liked it so much. I ended up ordering the 1/700 scale Gerald Ford, the aircraft carrier, because I heard a lot of good things about that. That's a little expensive, but heck, that sounds like it's going to be a cool kit too. So.
Draw the line at ships. I just can't.
Well, he does planes, he does armor, but no ships.
There is a Tamiya 350th scale Fletcher class in my history somewhere, but that's me. One and done. I don't need to do any more.
I haven't done a ship. I've done a boat. I did a boomer. It was not fun.
Submarine.
Yeah.
Ugh,
yeah. I did the USS Michigan, and the Dragon kit. The Dragon kit is not the best. It has like raised ribs, and it should not. And I sanded them all off, and I'm like, oh, I think these are supposed to be panelized. So then I scribed them all, and then I found it. Shocker! It's hard to find good pictures of submarines. Gee, I wonder why. And
especially guys like that. Yeah.
I finally found a good picture. I'm like, oh, this is like smooth as a baby's bottom all the way. So I had to fill everything I scribed. And that thing's like this long, right? Like, because it was 1/350th scale. It's not fun. I'll never do another one.
So, Sam, I have built a boat recently.
Stop. Jeez. What is that?
It's a squid fishing boat.
Sure it is. Those antennas are for catching squid.
Yeah, it's got all the little lights and stuff.
It's a Chinese squid fishing boat.
It is. It is. So
it follows the US 7th Fleet around. Yeah.
So you're saying this boat may or may not be for the launching and recovery of balloons?
Correct.
I have nothing to say about this boat. Sam's closer to them than we are.
Yeah.
All right. So we're talking about stuff you guys are working on, and obviously with the new Bradley, is there anything coming out this year that you're interested in that you know about, or you may even know something that we don't know? Is there anything you want to see, or what's coming out that you're looking forward to getting on your bench?
Yes. The new Katare ME-109 K4. So super late war 109. So the Spitfire that they did last year, I think it was last year, was really nice. Very basic, but really, really nice. So really keen to get my hands on the K4 when it comes out. So I built the Edward kit in 48 scale, which is brand new as well, and love that late war stuff. So be keen to get my hands on that when it happens, which I think is later this year, maybe, or maybe very early next year. And as for secret stuff, I have no idea. I have no secrets about kits are coming. I got nothing. Rick might.
Oh, no, I've got nothing either. I get surprised every month by my own company. So just like, no, I'm not one of those guys who looks forward to it. There's nothing on my bucket list necessarily, other than this, like I said, this little spill of having a few kits sitting around that just need to be finished up. I'm one kit at a time. So as I finish up one project, I start kind of thinking about what suits my fancy for the next one. And I just do that, but I'm not really looking forward to anything.
Do you have a list, looking forward, Rick? Do you have a list of things that you want to sort of get done in the next 6 months or a year time, or you just wing it and, I'll start this, whatever?
I literally just wing it. Yeah. It's pretty haphazard. And some of it's directed by work too, because I still have to, show things, product demos and things like that. So for instance, this little fishing boat, that is a work piece because the new inks came out and it's like, hey, maybe you could do inks on a boat. I'm like, okay.
Random, but sure.
Yeah, of course. He's like, well, maybe you could do salt stains. And I'm like, okay, let me see if I can figure it out. So that's the kind of work I do a lot of times for the company. And that's a lot of fun because, first thing I get a set of inks, which I have no idea how to use. And now that I've had them for a little while, I love them. I've been using them all over the place, but I had to learn on that. So
Sam, do you plan your builds out? I feel like you do, right?
Yeah.
You try to at least.
Yeah, I've got to, again, because of who I am as a person, I can't, got to crush the fun out of it. And so, I do, I not plan. Well, plan probably sounds like there is a plan, but I'll commit to things. So, I'll do, someone wants me to write an article on X, Y, or Z, or if someone wants a buddy build or whatever. So, I'll commit to doing something and then, overcommit and have 8 things due before June. And then events happen and those things then tend not to be due again. So that's great. So that frees up my dance card. So I can then go and build a Panther or build an F-35 or whatever. So, but I do plan in regards to I'll have all the aftermarket stuff ready so that when I do the inspiration really hits, I don't have to wait 2 weeks for stuff to arrive. Things can take a while to get here. So.
In that regard, Sam, like the piece you took to SMC or Panther, was that something planned for SMC or did it just happen to come together during that time and you decided to bring it?
Planned for SMC.
Okay.
Yeah, to the point where I planned it and had an option A and option B, and it comes down to the size of the box that I can carry on the plane, and then the size of the base, and then the size of the tank on the base, and all that sort of stuff. So I wanted something that was a bit not just a tank on a plane, which is great because there are plenty of unbelievably great models like that at the show. show. Unbelievably great models. But yeah, it wanted to really just have something that was a bit out of the ordinary, a bit different. So yeah, it was very planned, that one.
What about a Fine Molds 148 scale X-Wing?
Yeah, finally got one. Yeah. Having said that, I cracked the box open and it started. So obviously it's a second-hand kit, and the previous owner, I'm guessing the previous owner, he had snipped the figures off the sprues and painted them black, which is fine. Like, that's, in the scheme of things, it's probably not really much of a big deal. But yeah, finally got my hands on one at a relatively good price, which is good. And so yeah, I'll probably build that at some point.
But there's
no rush. Yeah.
There's one right there. That's what that box of my fingers on is a 48 scale X-Wing.
Aftermarket stuff for that, or doesn't need it?
I don't think there is any, honestly.
I've seen an etch set only available in the States, so nothing locally.
Oh, from Paragraphics.
I think that might be them. Yeah. I had a quick look on eBay when I got the kit.
I don't think, unless you plan on lighting it, I don't think you really need it. Because the only thing you really get is a new IP with like a clear acetate piece that you can light from the back, because then it's got like sandwiches in.
Yeah.
So you get that little display screen, and then you get what am I thinking? They go in the engine. They're like the little like fan looking piece, right? You can see it in like you can't see it unless the engines are on. Sort of thing. What that kit really needs is like a new cockpit, because it's not not that accurate. It's a little weird, but a lot of it you could just add new, because there's just like a whole bunch of hoses and stuff behind the pilot.
Okay. Yeah.
But even then, like, you can't really see it that much when the canopy's closed. But that kit's so good.
Yeah.
It's probably the best one they did.
Yeah.
I'm keen to build it. It's not going to sit in the cupboard forever. It will get built up, and I think it's an opportunity to weather. It should be good fun.
I'm going to judge you on this answer. What are you going to build it as?
I haven't got that far into it yet.
Okay.
I mean, I kind of want to do it as Luke Skywalker's, because
come on now.
I know it's so cliche, but
I mean, Luke had one of the most colorful X-Wings.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong. I've built like 5 Luke X-Wings. I love them.
I haven't even thought that far into it yet. But I mean, look, if I'm going to build one, probably the iconic one to build.
Yeah. I want to do mine as either Red Leader or Red 6. Those are the two. Those are other than Luke's, those are my two favorites, especially Red 6, which I know Scott knows. I love Red 6. It's I think the coolest scheme out of all of them.
Yeah, TJ, if you look at his Orion Paintworks, he did a 72nd scale Red 6 that is my absolute favorite X-Wing build ever. It's beautiful. Yep. Really, really good. I also like the blue leader from Rogue One.
Yeah.
That's a
cool scheme.
Yeah, that'd be a good scheme to put on that kit. But I agree with TJ. That's a really good kit. Maybe put some guitar strings in the cockpit. Like TJ is saying, if you really want to get crazy, maybe replace the molded cannon barrels with some brass tube.
Oh yeah.
And you could probably dress it up like that, but it's a really solid kit, especially for its age. It's really nice.
Yeah. When the time comes that I get started, I'll hit you guys up and pester you relentlessly. I would have thought, actually, even on Cults there'd be something. Surely there'd be something that downloadable. Some nerd somewhere has 3D printed, drawn something. And
well, if you go to Starship Modeler here in the States, they have the 148 scale X-Wing photo etch, which has the ladders and a couple other things on it too.
Okay.
Starship Modelers will help you out. So they're always really good.
I thought that same thing, Sam.
Yeah.
I also looked on Cults. I'm like, how's there no X-Wing shit on Cults? Like, this is like the nerdiest thing on the planet, and no one's modeled it.
Yeah.
Because it's not even like they're worried that they could get in trouble, because there's lots of stuff that probably shouldn't be on Cults. Cults, if you just name it the right thing. I mean, just call it Space Starfighter parts or some crap. Like, you can get around all that. But yeah, I was really surprised. But what are you gonna do? It's a 15-year-old kid at this point. I mean, I guess.
Yeah, I think that might be why there's not more for it. Is I think it sort of came out, and then Bandai came out with their 148 scale kit, and it's nice, but Bandai's problem with that one is it's really meant to be integrated into a base, because it has lights and sound, and it's really kind of almost more of a toy than a model kit. It looks good, but anyway, I think that might be why. I really like your choice though, Sam, going back to the Qatari K4. The Kurfürst is just just it's a beautiful variant of the 109. I'm excited to see what Qatari does with that.
Yep. Hopefully, it's a step forward, and not to say that there's anything lacking with the Spitfire. I've kind of yet to see anyone build and paint one of those Spitfires. I think I've seen one actually. I think John Colasante did a beautiful job on his, and Dukes actually did a good job on his as well. But just the rest of them just look kind of toy-like. Just those Battle of Britain Spitfires were pretty grubby. You can dirty them up a bit. And so with the K, opportunity, nasty fuel, nasty. At the end of the war, sort of, so everything. The build quality wasn't great, so there's a good opportunity to really weather it up nicely.
I will say Cameron Corliss did a pretty damn good job on his Qatari Spit.
Excellent. Yeah, I have to go and look for that.
I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah, he weathered it.
Green and brown.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit darker palette maybe on the top, but he did a pretty good job on the weathering. I love those Mark 1s and Mark 2s. Those are the classic Spitfires, I think. But what about 1/16 scale armor? I'm pretty excited for that Greyhound that's coming, and also the Universal Carrier. Some of those smaller subjects. Still crossing my fingers that we might get a Hetzer at some point.
That's what I'm waiting on, Scott. Yeah, is a Hetzer. I think it's ideally placed. It's a small vehicle, but good size still in 16 scale. But the 234 Puma will probably be one that I'll get. As you know, I built one 16 scale kit, the Jag Tiger, and I've got no room to display it, so it's in a plastic tub under my desk. So I don't have a lot of room at this stage, but the Puma I'll probably get after seeing it at Scale Model Challenge last year, the pre-production version. It's a nice surprise. Yeah.
I was going to say the Puma's kind of big, but not compared to the Yacht Tiger, the one from the book.
The one from the book. Yeah.
we're gonna see if we can coax some responses from Sam out. So
I told you I'm not going to swear. It's all good.
Any other releases you guys are excited about?
Speaking of 16 scale, yeah, maybe. But I know the trumpeter thing's a dog. It's the 251-22. So it's the 251 half track with the Pack 40 75mm gun in the back. The pack wagon's kind of cool. As soon as I think of that, I think, well, I'm going to need to spend $500 at AFV Modeler to get all the correction sets for the kit, because Trumpeter's kit is pretty ordinary, unfortunately. So
yeah, it's hard to hide missing details in that larger scale too.
It is. Yeah, it is. You can't fudge it like in 35 scale.
I do like the standalone Pack 40, the towed version of Pack 40 that Gecko's doing. Hopefully that'll be a sharp kit.
Yeah, and the fact, and like I said, the Universal Carrier will be amazing. It will be. It's such a great release. We've not seen anything British or Commonwealth. In 16 scale. Okay. Achilles, we have seen something British. All right. Waiting for you guys to correct me.
It's like half Commonwealth, I guess. I mean, the gun is Commonwealth. Everything else is pure American muscle, but
yeah, true.
Yeah, I'm excited about the Universal Carrier because I am a Commonwealth armor fan myself. So, and I love the Universal Carriers. It's such a cool. If I could have one, I would, and I would drive it into town to go get groceries because they're just so cool. That one I'm really looking forward to.
They pulled we built thousands of them here in Australia during the war, and that was called the LP1, the local pattern one, Universal Carrier, and a Ford flathead V8 4.2, I think, or something like that. Yeah, and they pulled one out of the range at Army Base, relatively close to here, and after it had been sitting in a range for 50 odd years, sort of thing, as a target, the engine block, they just changed the oil, put new spark plugs in, and it started. How hardy the thing was.
So, cow.
Yeah. So they're super cool. So and in 16 scale, the tracks won't feel like you're gluing staples back together, because in 35 scale, that's what it feels like. The tracks are tiny. So the 16 scale will be good.
See, that size of vehicle is what I look for in 16 scale. Like why I think like the Renault FT is good in 16 scale, because the 35th scale is like, this big.
Yeah.
Like the little, I have the 16 scale Sherman. It's cool, but that is huge. And that's why I haven't built it, because it takes up, my bench is crowded and it takes up all the room that I have. And it makes it even harder to work than I make it for myself.
Have you got your stuff in display cabinets or in storage, or what do you
Oh, my finished kits?
Yeah.
Yeah. So my finished, so I my basement is like two halves. This is the unfinished half. I have like a gym and my bench and all that stuff. And then on the finished half, I have like couch and a TV, table and all that stuff, bookshelves, and all my finished kits are out there. I have a handful in my bedroom because my first display cabinet is up there before I finish my basement. And my wife keeps pestering me to move it down here, but it's heavy and I'm lazy, so I don't really want to do it. I got two more on the like behind me or in front of me. Behind the screen is a wall, and there's one there, and there's one around the corner.
Yeah, that's the challenge, isn't it? Is the 16 scale stuff is where do you display it? You know, that's the only downside.
If I built this Sherman, I wouldn't have anywhere to put it. It was too big because all my display cabinets are narrow, and it's just too big. It wouldn't fit. So I'm like, that's a good reason not to build it.
Have you done 16 scale Rick at all?
Yeah, I did the FT-17, the TACOM kit, about 2 years ago.
Oh, right. Yep.
Yeah, that's the only one. It kind of itched my scratch, and although the universal carrier does kind of catch my fancy. Again, it's kind of it's a combination of the subject, and because like you guys were all saying, it's not going to be so big that it just takes up the entire house.
It'd be interesting to see what they do for a driver figure, because driving the universal carrier, literally you sit flat on the ground. He'll be L-shaped, back upright, and then his legs pointing directly out in front of him. So you'll have to glue the figure in and then glue the glacis plate on the kit, or a figure with no legs. Don't know how they'll do that.
We'll have the standard standing guy just kind of leaning up against it.
I do have the looks in 1/16 scale too. That's a good size for that vehicle as well.
Yeah, that's a great kit too.
So we kind of already touched on Sam and his book. So kind of like in that idea is building for books and publications and websites. Has that changed your approach to modeling at all? I'm assuming yes, because I know it has for me. But I'm interested to hear your guys' take on it.
I just photograph everything, every detail, everything I get my hands on, so that because you can't go backwards in time. So I hate to miss a detail that would be a great talking point in an article or a book or whatever. So I just habitually photograph everything I possibly can, which means that when I come to submit photos for an article, it's 200 photos because I'd rather give whoever the editor is, I'd rather give them every photo they can choose how they want to set it out, and then let me know which ones they want captions for once they're done. So I'm lucky enough to be able to have my photo booth set up all the time, and so I'll do something and get to the end of the night if I'm having a session at the night sort of thing, and then just go take a bunch of photos, and then I'm set. That's probably the biggest change.
So you just said something interesting, caught my ear, Sam. When you were working on the publications, you send all your photos without captions first, let them decide what photos to use, and then you write oh, geez, that would be so much easier.
Yeah. I don't know if that's okay. I don't know if that's what everyone. Well, obviously, it's not what everyone does. I don't know.
No, obviously not. I know one guy who doesn't.
I can hear the person who I submit those photos to now screaming from the UK. It's like, don't tell people you do that, because they're going to get hundreds of photos sent every time now. Maybe it's the luxury I have that I can submit those photos and the guys will just pick the ones they want to use. Maybe it's better not to do that.
I will give them choices at I do like you take photographs all the way along, and then there'll be certain, especially when you get to like the kit's assembled, before primer and paint, I'll take like 5 photographs, the beauty shots, send them the 5 beauty shots. They can choose whatever one they want. And so there'll be a few different opportunities for that, even through the build or paint process, but I'll caption everything before I send it. And it's funny because of this, and maybe you've had this experience, I've talked about it before. I was so in the habit of taking photographs, step by steps along the way. And depending on your build speed and the kit you're working on, that could be every 15 minutes you're taking a photograph. So there will be times when I've got a kit that I'm just building for myself, and I find myself kind of pausing every 15 minutes. Like I need to get up and go do something. It's like, it's part of that, my flow, my natural biorhythm, if nothing else, which is kind of interesting. And then lately because I've been doing more video work, found myself not taking as many photographs. And oddly enough, more magazines are asking me, hey, can I get an article about whatever build you're working on? I'm like, I didn't take photographs. So I got to get back in the habit of doing both at the same time, no matter what the situation is.
My F-35 that I did was just a kind of a buddy build with 3 mates in the States. And I got approached literally the day I posted it up on my page. It's like, hey, we'd love an article. I'm like, I don't have enough. I've got lots of iPhone shots on the desk, but they're not publishable, worthy. And not enough to warrant an article, unfortunately. So, and same with the current Panther as well. It's never going to be an article. It's just built for sort of, I guess, internet content, if you like, so Instagram and Facebook.
And I think that's important. And TJ, you might be part of this too, is like, having those builds from time to time that you're just doing it for yourself and you're not worried about the photographs and taking, beauty shots and whatever. I find that so a nice break. I really do.
I enjoy it, except for when you publish the finished one and then you get a message immediately. Hey, can you write an article about that?
Yeah.
Sure.
That's unfortunate.
But I've got 15 photographs. That's all I got. Almost nothing in progress. No, that's fine. Like, okay, have at it.
Yeah, I always respond with, but I've got a X, or but I can do a Y, like I'll turn it around almost immediately and say, I can do this for you. So if you like, as something different, kind of, and you guys are in the same boat. Anything you do could be published. So it's sort of, embarrassment of riches, if you like. Whatever you choose to do tomorrow, any publisher would just go, yep, I'll have it. That's awesome. Thank you. So it's great to be able to do that. And it's limited, I guess. Well, no, I'm limited in my own laziness of, well, I just can't be bothered writing about it. So I'll just another time, So, but I think that's with all the millions of photos that I take on stuff, that helps with the writing process too. So a couple 100 photos in my inbox sort of thing, and I'll just troll through them as I'm writing. What did I do next? What was that next bit? It just reminds me of all the steps and reminds me of all the things that I've done. So that makes it really easy when it comes to writing about them.
Yeah, because I know the one article I'm working on, since I don't have that many pictures, I'm just doing like a narrative style because I don't have any step-by-step pictures. I think I have like one, and it's only because I was bored that day because I just wanted to build the model. That's all I wanted to do. And so I was like, I just have like, I think I have like a full page. I'll probably write another page. That's just how I built it. And the only thing I have is the finished model. Like the finished build before paint. So I'm like, hopefully all of this shit makes sense because I tried to remember everything I did in the order that I did it. And it's kind of a pain in the butt, but
I've conjured up a couple of times some in progress shots. So where I've realized sort of at the pre-paint stage, it's like, oh, this is going to be an article or whatever. And so what I'll do is I'll take the model to the photo booth and get some tweezers and sort of hold it against the part and then take a photo. It's like, hey, this is me applying the part to the model. It's glued on, but it just looks like it looks like an in progress shot, just to try and get some more content.
Yeah. The secret's out now, Sam. We know.
The fraud, Sam Dwyer.
I love showing how the sausage is made. I did a post about it on the Sherman I was working on. One of the Shermans I was working on, I put it in the posse group with the helping hand holding the brush with nothing on it, and
that's so
from
good.
back. I'm like, hey, this is how. I don't know if you guys know. This is how it's done. No one's holding this brush because it'd be doing this if you were.
Well, I got to say, TJ, I saw that photograph and I said, that is brilliant. I never even thought of that.
Oh, the helping hands?
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't remember who told me about the helping hands and it was recent, probably within the last year and a half. Someone's like, yeah, you just use helping hands. I'm like, I have two right here. Why did I never think of that?
No, I'd never thought of that because all my shots of those in progressy type shots with the brush or the tweezers or the knife, it's always a lefty because I'm right-handed with the camera and because I don't shoot with a tripod. So so I've got to evolve another hand to hold everything.
This guy right here is a lifesaver. The shutter release. This is the best.
Tripod and timer for me. So I'm good.
Yeah. I did an article and I forgot that I had a timer. So I went and got my daughter. I'm like, all right, because I was holding the model and the you can't use the helping hands to fake the airbrush because then your finger won't be on the trigger. So I'm like holding the model and the airbrush. I'm like telling my daughter, I'm like, all right, go ahead, press it now, quick. Okay. And then we had to do it like 2 or 3 times, but she got a photo credit in the magazine, which was pretty cool.
That's cool.
I made a point, like my daughter took these pictures, so please give her a photo credit. And
I want to set a physical challenge. The next time you do an article, I want like a lady's well manicured finger with nail polish on the airbrush, or I want one of your toes on the trigger, just to see if anyone notices. There's just this big hairy big toe on the trigger of the airbrush instead of your finger.
Yeah, I'll get my wife. Probably not.
I was just going to say about the airbrush thing. I'm always, because I don't, I just undo my airbrush and then take it in there when I'm doing it. So I'm always trying to cup my hand around where the hose would come out so they can't see that it's disconnected.
I do the same thing. I'll hold it like this. Like, that's always how I hold it. Sure.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're getting all the secrets of publishing today. I'd like to thank Rick TJ, and Sam.
Yeah, and we only paint one side of our models too.
Oh, exactly.
I was gonna go there.
And the road wheels.
Never on the inside.
You only clean up the mold lines on the outside of the road wheels, or the outside set of road wheels on a German tank, because the insides you can't see them. Absolutely. And the swing arms, if they've got mold seams on them, they stay there. There's no need to. And no one picks up your model to judge it, right? So
No, not at all. No, we've never seen that before.
Scott's like, "Oh, not this again."
Okay, since you brought that up, I have to show you this. Of course, listeners can't see this. So this awesome mug or tumbler was made by my friend Eric for our amps chapter. It says no vamps on. It's got a Sherman sprocket design that he etched with the laser etcher, and then he also painted the bottom with like heat proof paint so it can go in the dishwasher. And he made it a point to tell everyone because he sold them to all our members, and he's like, just so you know, you pick it up and look at the bottom, it is painted. So that way you won't get dinged. I'm like, you are a genius, Eric. That is hilarious.
So back in the day, back in 2003-ish, so a long time ago, I may have written a book for Osprey Publishing, and there was a certain model in that book that there were only parts of that model painted, not fully painted. I was up against the deadline, and the model was photographed from one side only, and there were bits that were not weathered and bits that were barely painted in that. So just again, you get it across the line, and get the content right. It worked.
So I'm not that guilty, but I'm definitely guilty of finding the good side and making sure that all of the photos are from that one side. So that Austin armored car I built, one side I messed up. There's like a ring around one of the little circular turrets. It's mini art, so of course it's got a billion pieces and mold lines on it. Yeah. It's a beautiful kit. I would build another one in a heartbeat. I loved it, but I missed the mold line. And when I was taking pictures, I'm like, oh man, there's like a huge mold line like right there. I'm like, ugh. Okay, I'm not sending that picture, so I just deleted that one, and I'm like, yeah, there you go. There's all the pictures.
Done. You always Photoshop it out.
See, that I won't do. I'd rather just not even take that angle.
Yeah, don't include.
Just trust me, it looks good from that side.
It looks the same all the way around.
Yeah. Why would the other side look any different? That's perfect every way.
Right.
It's symmetrical. There's two round turrets. You're good.
I did a 1/35th scale walk around. It's good.
Spencer Pollard, when he was on with us, he said he does it all the time. Said he has to, especially on dioramas and vignettes and things like that. So.
And he's absolutely building to a time frame and a deadline, so it's understandable, and it doesn't take away from the work that is great, does it?
Right. I don't think so. Like what he does, that's a different thing than just going to your bench and building a model because you want to build a model, right?
Yep.
And if you're doing something for work, like it's different. It's the same, but it's not the same. And to me, in my opinion, like you're totally justified in doing that. I don't think any less of anyone for doing that.
If anyone from my work is listening, I don't half-ass things at all in any way, shape, or form.
I do half-ass things because that's the American way. So
that's why you're a superpower.
Yes, that is correct.
Well, I want to ask a serious question, so I'm going to apologize in advance because I'm going to use a word I know Sam won't like, but I'm going to use it anyway to convey a message. But I'm going to start with Rick. Give Sam a minute.
No, warn me and then to give it to Sam right off the bat. Do it cold for him. I want to hear what this word is.
So both of you are here we go. Both of you are modeling influencers, good or bad, whether you like it or not, you are.
Is that the word? Influencer?
Yeah, okay. That's the word. You publish books, you've got online content, you're influencers. People look up to you and the quality of what you do. So what I want to know is, has being an influencer, Rick, has it been good or bad for your own personal modeling, and why?
Oh, wow. See, we should go to Sam first. Go to TJ first. So until you ask the better for worse why sort of thing, I don't think of myself as an influencer. So to a large degree, none of that really crosses my mind when I'm doing anything. I like to show my work, obviously, on Facebook, Instagram, whatever the case may be, the videos. It's something it doesn't really strike me that people follow me or look up to me, or if that's the case, or you can beep this out now, this word, a cheap of what I'm doing, It's like I build for the reasons we've talked about. Either it's work or my own personal thing. I do some better than others. Some of them I knock it out of the park. Other ones I might not even show online. That's just the way it is. So I don't know if that's the short answer. I guess it doesn't really matter to me, or at least I don't feel like it's part of the world I live in.
All right, fair enough. So Sam, same question. Has being an influencer been good or bad for your own personal modeling, and why?
I would say 1,000,000% yes, very positive. Not so much for the physical modeling side of things necessarily, but just for the networking and the meeting people and talking to people about the hobby that we love. Sounds really cheesy, but it's so great, to get messages or to whatever, interact with people online about the stuff that we love doing. That's great fun and all that sort of stuff. And you do get occasional kids, and that's life. But mostly, it's so great. People asking questions or people saying, "Hey, that's really cool," or "Hey, have you thought about maybe doing something a bit differently and thinking about it this way?" It's all positive. One way or another is positive. You either, get directed towards people who are brilliant and great fun to be around, and you get to travel to other countries and be welcomed, and it's amazing, or you get highlighted the knuckleheads in the hobby and you know who to avoid moving forward. So either way, it's been really, really positive.
Yeah, I should probably amend my statement because Sam just knocked it out of the park in terms of really what the benefit. Well, no, it's like I'm thinking like influencer in terms of negative or whatever. But the hobby has been great to me. I've been doing it more or less somewhat professionally.
Can't change your answer, Rick. Can't change your answer.
Scott is great at editing. Watch this; it's going to come out beautiful. No, but I have traveled the world because of my place in modeling. So to be invited to shows, to be able to do workshops and things like that, even on this recent last Las Vegas trip, but I've been to Moshan, I've been to Santiago, Chile, I've been to, all sorts of different places at the request of the show hosts. And, that's, I guess that's something that I don't take for granted, but something I didn't have forefront in my mind when I gave my answer.
And it's a pretty amazing privilege that you can just up and go to places and there'll be someone there that goes, "Hey, nice to meet you. Come and hang with us," kind of thing. And then let's talk about the hobby we love, and let's bond over that. It's an amazing privilege, and we feel very, very lucky. Very, very lucky.
And you also get stuck in gondolas, 1,500 feet above the canyon floor in a high wind with other modelers.
The pucker factor was very high. But also, would I do it again? I'm on my way. Like it was great fun. Yeah, that was a great day over the was it Royal Gorge?
Yeah, the Royal Gorge amazing. In Colorado. Yep.
And then you got JB with the drop bears on the way home, which made it even better.
Yes, that's right. Yeah,
it's one of my favorite stories.
Yeah.
You had him hook, line, and sinker, man. He was all in. It's like
a drop bear. What the hell is
really?
A drop bear?
It's like, you have those there?
Yeah, poor JB.
I was proud of myself that I held it in. So I'm like, if I laugh, I'm going to give it away.
Yeah, people have to go and Google what a drop bear is. So, that's right. It is safe for work. It's fine.
Yeah. I mean, I think the us and the posse, we can. I mean, it's kind of weird that
yes,
posse,
you're influencers. Yes,
we're also influencers asking.
Yes,
but in our defense, you've been doing it longer than us. So let's just
in our defense, you guys are more successful than we are.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't think so.
Well, it goes back to being a privilege. I mean, so you guys ask me on somewhat regularly, and it's always a very special treat. So I don't take that part for granted. That's the part where it's kind of a disconnect. It's like, why the hell would you want to talk to me about anything? So that's where that disconnect comes in.
I saw it at the Nationals, just you guys, you've got a following that you've built, and it's a rock star kind of welcome. And I know that's a bit cringe, but it's that meetup in whose ever room it was, where there was way too many people in that room. Scott's like, "Yeah, come to this room. It's great." And we're all like cheek to jowl with all these strangers. But it was still good fun.
Yeah, I mean, going back to Rick, Rick, you're being very humble, but I mean, you put together one of the best known dioramas ever made. I mean, people do look up to you, and you've got people that watch your propaganda channel. I mean, you do very, very good work, and everything that you've expressed, towards Sam and everything, we feel the same way back with you, and that's the best part of doing the podcast is what you and Sam talked about, which is we've, I guess, put in the work. That's a lot less cringy than Rockstar. We put in the work so that we can collaborate. If we wouldn't have done this, we would have never met Sam. We would have never met you. And that's the, to use your term, that's the privilege, I think, is getting to have conversations with people that share our passion, collectively of what we love.
And it's not just in the States, because that's your fan base and that's great. But I saw JB and I saw TJ. I saw people at Scale Model Challenge coming up, and I could just see the look on TJ's face when people were coming up and, hey, I know you from the thing. And TJ was like, oh, this is a bit real. But it was, it's worldwide, and that's amazing. That little German dude that came up and talked to you, or was it you talked to JB for like a long time? But that was awesome. It just fans coming out of the woodwork everywhere. It was really good. Good to see.
It's humbling.
Yeah.
Just to say the least.
Yeah. And back to like the privilege of being able to, the opportunity to go to shows. It's like when I was at World Model and some of these other shows, Motion and stuff like that. I am fanboying all these people that I've followed forever and ever and ever. And I guess that's kind of part of my reason that I don't feel like I'm there, because like if I was at a show and Sam walked in, for instance, I would be like starstruck. It's like, holy shit, this is Sam, the Sam Dwyer, the guy that I've been, admiring for all these years. And that happens so many times at so many different shows to the people and the modelers in this community that I really, truly admire their work.
As long as you don't say, I thought you'd be fatter, like someone.
I think we all know who that was.
We all know who that was.
Yeah, we all know that one. Yeah.
Hello, Pop, this is Kettle.
Yeah.
Well, and
that guy's a piece of work. We'll just leave it at that.
Yeah.
If you know, you know.
Yeah.
And the magic happens because of the kind of people that you surround yourself with. I'm gonna, just for the record, when we met up with Sam, we'd never met with him before. We just kind of talked about it. He flew over. As soon as we met him, it felt like we'd known him for 10 years. Just humble, fantastic to hang out with, to laugh with, to tease. It's great. And Rick, same thing. Getting to actually meet you in person and talk with you. It's awesome when you find people that genuinely want to contribute and want to help other people, and just they do this because they love it. Let's face it, none of the five of us here drive a Bentley because of what we're doing. This is because we love this hobby. And,
I'll have you know, Scott, speaking of
his Bentley's in the shop at the moment.
My Bentley, no. I invited, so Sam was going to SMC and he was talking about his travel relationship or his travel itinerary. I'm going like, why don't you make a layover stop in Portland and we could spend the day together? And he said no. He said it was too far out of his way.
I would in a heartbeat. But it is in the opposite direction to SMC.
I think that's what you said. It's kind of in the wrong direction, to be fair.
And also, it's a 24-hour flight to SMC. Like just another minute on the plane was just too long. So
no, I totally understood, but it still stung.
and how you guys were conscious for going to the Dutch Military Museum.
Yeah.
I was beat, and I'm like, I've only been up, I got like 2 hours of sleep, but it was a 7-hour flight for me. Yeah. I'm like, I'm dead. And you're like, yeah, it's been 24 hours, guys. Let's go look at some shit. I'm like, I'd like to just like eat a hamburger and go to sleep.
Let's hire a car, drive on the wrong side of the road, and go and look at aircraft at a museum. Let's do 130 on the Autobahn. It was great. We totally would do it again. Yeah.
Well, that brings up a good point. So, what shows are you attending this year, Sam and Rick, that we can know about?
Yeah, Rick, if you like.
Well, in 2 weeks, I'll be in Seattle with two of the guys here on the screen, which will be fun, and JB and Jensen and a bunch of other guys from the posse. And then I know I'm going to Nats this summer Still trying to figure out amps and a few others. And there's a Salt Lake show I keep hearing about that probably have to carve a little bit of time out for something like that. So I don't know. We'll just kind of play it by ear.
Sounds like your dance card is very full. You got a lot going on there.
I'm very light on my feet, Sam.
This year, I think is going to be a quiet year this year. Last year was a big year. A couple of trips overseas last year, which is amazing. Only one of them modeling related. But so I think only Penang this year. So Malcolm in Penang is a big Asian, probably the biggest Asian show outside sort of Australia kind of thing. So I'll probably do that. And that's the second weekend or first weekend in June. But yeah, I looked at coming to the Nats, and airfares are out of control. United was $5,000 and Qantas was 14.
Jeez. Yeah.
Like, you want to support your national carrier, but to be nearly triple, it's just, guys, it's madness. So sadly, the Nats are a no-go this year. So hey, no rooms anyway. So
you can bunk with me, Sam. I'll just put it out there.
I wouldn't inflict that on you. I really wouldn't. It's mean. I couldn't do that. So Malcolm, it's only about 7 hours flight, which is 8 hours, which is pretty reasonable. So and I've never been to Malaysia before, so that'll be good. And then may come home via Singapore and go to M Workshop, and the Singaporean dudes will go to Malcolm anyway because it's a 50-minute flight. They're next door neighbours. Yeah, and so all the loads of dudes from Japan go, loads of dudes from China, and all through Asia go to Malcolm. So that'll be and there's a bunch of us going from Oz too. So a bunch of guys who go every year, and they really have recommended it. So thought I'd give that a go. Unfortunately, it happens to be the same weekend as our Model Expo, our big competition here. So to not go after 30 years in a row of being or something like that, it's kind of feels bad. But I'll probably just do that one.
Oh, sounds great. Yeah, like you said, the plane tickets are getting a little crazy right about now. So, yeah. So we talked about the positives. Now it's time to be Debbie Downer. What have been some of the negatives that you've come back to, that you've seen come lately in the modeling in the modeling community? Sorry.
Yeah, for me, it's probably the most thing that sort of irks me the most is gatekeeping. I know that's sort of it does get bandied about a bit, but it's, you must do things this way. You must do things that way. No, I mustn't. I will do things, and I will recommend people do things the way they want to do it. We've all got X amount of years of muscle memory in the way that we do things, and we've learned the hard way and stuff. If people want to do things the way they want to do it, they should be encouraged. And the hobby is meant to be fun, and it's not fun with anyone. And please, this isn't directed at anyone in particular. It's just people on the internet. It kills me when I see people doing it. So it does my head in. So I'm sort of I'm all for inclusion in everything in life, and particularly in this hobby. And the more we can include people, and the more we can include, especially new starters in the hobby, whether they be 15 or 50, doesn't matter. Gatekeepers saying you must do it this way and you must do it. No, bullshit. Have fun learning to do it the wrong way, and you may discover something incredible out of it. How many Shepherd Painter, how many Francois Linden techniques were made through accidents? I bet you more than one. These guys gatekeeping the way things should be done kills me. It just does my head in. So that's probably the biggest negative for me.
Okay, Rick.
Oh, I'll echo some of that. I don't experience that a lot. I mean, I steer clear of a lot of those types of comments or those forums where that's happening. So I know it's out there. I guess one that's kind of maybe in that same lane is just some people's, I guess we'll call it gatekeeping of including other genres into the modeling world. And so I think that's absolutely ridiculous and foolish, because those are the same people who are saying that the hobby is dying. And then we just went to a 20,000 person show, and all those little figures, tens of thousands of figures, were all painted by somebody and put together by somebody. So those are modelers. Sorry, dude. It's not dying. It's different stuff than, a Spitfire.
Yeah,
we experienced that here. The Gunpla and Gundam guys have started to be included in competitions here. And there's one competition in Canberra that is leading the way with including these guys, and it is brilliant. It is absolutely brilliant. I went to the show in November last year, and it was the first year that the Gunpla category was included. There were more Gunplas on the table than everything else.
Wow.
That's how much
great.
they want it to be included. It is awesome. And so we're starting to see a bit of a tide turn about inclusion and getting people, getting bums on seats, getting people through the door. It's great to see. Yeah. Doesn't matter what they build. Having fun in the hobby, that's awesome.
Certainly from a sales perspective, that is right in line. I mean, we've talked about this ad nauseum, but I mean, the fact of the matter is Bandai sells more on a per year basis with their gunpla kits than all the other segments of all the hobbies in our, railroading, rockets, plastic, all of that put together. Bandai is just huge. And, that's how a lot of people are coming into the hobby, and it is modeling, and it is valid, and Warhammer is valid. And 3D printing is valid, and I think
it doesn't matter what you do. It doesn't matter if you're whittling stuff from old clothes pegs. It doesn't matter as long as you're having fun doing it. And it's for anyone to poo-poo that it's just really sucks. It's really ordinary, I reckon.
The Seattle show we're going to in a couple of weeks. They only give out one award. It's called the Curator's Choice. The curator of the Museum of Flight up there gives out the award. Last year, the guy that won the award was a guy that made models out of wooden coffee stirring sticks.
Brilliant.
And he did Star Wars subjects. He did a Saturn V rocket. I mean, it was fantastic. It was modeling.
Yeah. I find too the gatekeeping I'm sort of referring to is the further you go down the rabbit hole of kind of research and wanting to get that real detail right. There's again when I think of this, I think of a couple of groups that are they're so bad at it. And they exclude people, and you see people dropping away and not contributing anymore. It's like, well, you've lost them to that bit of the hobby, and that's such a shame.
It is. Yeah, it really is. It's like Scott was saying, Bandai, these numbers are massive, and this is where the youth is coming from. And not just youth, all the modelers. I know 45, 50-year-old Gundam builders that are, doing stuff. They're out there, and it's fantastic to see. I read a statistic a couple of years ago or last year or something like that. Something like Bandai has 27 die machines printing 24/7 of Bandai kits at their factory all day, every day, 7 days a week. So, and they're selling. They wouldn't be doing that if they weren't selling them. So, but you have to look at where the hobby's going, and that's where the future is. It's not dying. It's not. Oh God, no. Like Rick said, we just went to Las Vegas to a gaming show that had 20,000 plus people at it, and they all had figures. Had figures. It was on the size of the rooms were phenomenal. The pieces of work that were on display were phenomenal. I mean, you can't beat it. It's just you have to have an open mind in this hobby, and everything like you said, Sam, everything's a hobby.
Well, and an interesting thing about that is that because we're at the AK tables, so we had product there. Yeah. They were a wargaming community. That's what they did. And I'm armor. Grant does figures. Well, you do other things too. JB is primarily an armor guy and stuff. But once somebody starts talking about painting or weathering or building or whatever, it's a universal language.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And so I may not know the subject you're talking about and all the the folklore behind it or whatever, but when you're trying to figure out how to get certain technique done, and we can talk about that with our common language, that means that we're all part of the same hobby.
Yep.
Yeah, you bet. Yeah,
exactly.
Absolutely. Yeah, that Vegas show sounded and looked amazing. Just so much on the tables, and it looked fantastic.
TJ, you got anything else you want to ask our guests?
I don't think so. I think we touched on everything that I wanted to talk about.
Anything you don't want to talk about?
There's probably more I would like to talk about, but it's probably not for broadcast. I'm as catty as anyone else behind the scenes.
I don't know. I saw some things the other night that were pretty catty.
Starting with you, Sam. The Sam Dwyer. How can people find you on the various social medias and the internet in large?
The internet. So my modeling stuff is on Instagram, is SD_scale_models or SD scale models. Real, inventive name. And then surprisingly enough, my Facebook page is also SD scale models. So SD_scale_models. So yeah, I'm pretty prolific on SD on Insta. I find that sort of handy for just blazing away and putting photos up. I'm not, scale model doc prolific. I mean, no one is scale model doc prolific.
Yeah, that's true.
He posts like a 12-year-old girl, and not in a bad way. I don't mean to disparage 12-year-old girls, but man, he can post. I meant to disparage Doc. That's who it was disparaging. Let's make that clear. Anyway, yeah. So that's me on the socials.
What about you, Rick?
Like Sam, I'm on Instagram. I think it's rick.lawler, if I'm correct. And then Facebook, it's Rick Lawler Propaganda. The YouTube channel is Rick Lawler or Rick Lawler Propaganda. They come up either way. So you can watch videos there. There's a lot of promotional and how-to videos on the AK sites that I do. So that's part of my job now, is making little 1.5-minute reels, as they call them, that are on Instagram and part of their site and how-tos and such. And then the obvious magazine every once in a while. And then I'm pretty easy to get a hold of, and a lot of people do. So if you just want to chat or show me some work and whatever, I'm generally pretty easy to go in, and we'll take a few minutes and we can talk.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, I'd encourage people to look at your social media. I mean, your work speaks for itself. It's fantastic. And they're both very, very generous, as they've mentioned, and ready and willing to help. And you can't ask for more than that. So thank you for joining us. This has been a lot of fun having this conversation. You guys can see them periodically on the Plastic Posse as well. We're going to kind of arm wrestle these guys to see if we can get them to help join in our upcoming 48 and 48 hour event for Models for Heroes. That's the first weekend in March, or it's the weekend of March 8th.
So you're adding one more thing to my collection of stuff. Not going to get finished. Thank you.
I mean, I thought you kind of turned that over to us. So yeah, we're going to take full advantage of that. And anyway, hope to see you guys sooner rather than later. It's a little bit more of a challenge, obviously, with Sam, but man, we had a blast when he came up here to the U.S. Yeah. I guess maybe what we need to do is return the favor and head down under one of these days. That'll be great.
Exchange rate works in your favor heading this way. So
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Although I don't know, that's everything bites down there, right? So
if Doug was here, his eyes would light up and thought about it, but no.
Anyway, thanks for all you do. Thanks for your contributions. They also they're very humble guys, but they also have done fantastic books. Sam's book on the Yog Tiger that he mentioned, it's incredible. If you haven't seen that, step by step, he takes a trumpeter 1/16 scale kid and goes to town. And Rick has done some amazing books as well. He has Burden of Sorrow, which, as I mentioned earlier, is probably one of the top 3 or 4 most well-known dioramas. A hugely impactful piece. It's beautiful. But anyway, thanks, you guys. I really appreciate you joining us, and look forward to seeing what you guys put out in the next year and beyond.
Oh, thanks, Posse. Appreciate it.
We will talk soon, and take care.
See you guys.
That was such a great talk with Sam and Rick. And, I really want to thank them for sharing their ideas. And I didn't know they went all the way back to Planet Armor together, which is way back in the first of, I think that was still dial-up. That tells you how old it was. But, that was a great conversation, and such a fun time. All right. That was a great conversation. Thanks so much. Now we're going to head over to Scott for some feedback.
Yeah, thanks, Grant. Robbie Nuff sent in this little nugget in regarding to some of our banter in episode 86. Jensen shaking his head. Good morning. I recently heard of you advertising an open host position due to the LMF of the member who had not seen Band of Brothers or the Pacific. Not only do I build scale models instead of importing ridiculous amounts of kits from Nats, I am also well versed in watching many, many, many World War II movies and shows. I am also able to do English and Irish accents should that be required. And being Canadian, it will keep your show truly international. Sincerely, the model guy.
I'm filing a cease and desist.
That is awesome.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Robbie. It's too funny. All right, Crazy Loca liked our last episode with James and Malcolm and asked, did someone say Models for Heroes auction with Tankcraft's excellent mats? You better eat your Wheaties and drink your not for paintbrushes mug, because I'll be there bidding like I mean it again. Remember, March 8th through 10th for the 48 and 48 global group build event with auctions. Absolutely, Loca, you know it. Yeah, we had a ton of fun, and we'll do auctions each day, but the really, really good ones, I think, are on the Sunday night. That's when things get a little crazy, people going after each other. But man, it's so much fun. And like I said before, get a chance to build models with your buddies and help people that truly need it. Over on YouTube, Sully Scale Models said, thanks for the mention, guys. Really glad you guys liked my model. Always try to use real world stuff for my kits, and this one I had the perfect candidate for it. Thanks again, gents. Much love to y'all. We have a great time kind of looking at models that we like, and that's what Sully Scale Models is referring to here. So again, if you're not a member of the Plastic Posse group, please join in. There's a lot of great benefits to it, mostly just being able to interact with other modelers and have fun.
Well, speaking of, Scott, are you a member of the Plastic Posse group page on Facebook? Well, you should be. Remember that you can send your feedback and suggestions to us via email at plasticpossepodcast@gmail.com.
All right. Well, thanks, Grant. Well, let's go over to our esteemed UK colleague, Mr. Jensen Taylor, and he's going to lead us in a second discussion.
Thanks, Scott. So, yeah, before we started recording, Scott and I were having a chat about what we could possibly discuss. And one thing that came to mind was companies and their really aggressive marketing strategies. Does this hinder the hobbyist, and does it hurt credibility when companies send free sample products out to lots of people? And one thing, but I mean, I too am partnered with Gallery Airbrushes, but one thing that is absolutely noticeable in the hobby at the minute and in the past few weeks and months is this brand has been out there a lot. Everyone all over Facebook and YouTube, they've been getting review samples, products to review, and everyone's had the 2 cents about the products. And it's one of those things, I have one to review as well, but in the back of my mind, there is a little bit of a worry about how much credibility that review is going to have, considering everyone's being, not everyone, obviously, but so many people are being sent them. And does that kind of actually make the hobbyist like really question the products? So it's like, well, these people are getting sent them for review and they're not really having to pay for them. So are they just going to say it's good just because they've not had to pay for it? And if they say it is really bad, is that going to obviously affect their partnership? So I can completely understand why some people take these reviews with a pinch of salt. And it's not just like Gallery, they've had a really aggressive marketing strategy as of recent, but other companies have done these in the past before as well. Ammo does it with some paints, AK does it with some products, and it's a good thing. It's not free promotion. Let's get that free. It's not free. This is products. It costs these companies money to do. But I just want to get everyone's views on that and how this comes across to you as a consumer and also a voice in the hobby.
Yeah, I don't know that the advertising campaign itself really makes me think, poorly about Gallery or any, in like you said, ammo and MIG and stuff like that. But whenever you're sending out a whole bunch of brushes and a whole bunch of brushes are coming back rather defective, you've got people who are struggling with them and not just, just Joe Blow off the street, oh man, I'm struggling with this. Cause I mean, if you get kind of a newcomer to the hobby or something, he's got this brush that's not working, I'm like, well, hold on, let's see somebody who's been doing it for a while and what they have to say. Some of those guys are saying they're having troubles, and they're having to go in there and like polish some of the needles and the nozzles and having to do all sorts of extra work to these things. That right there will make me, I'll check up, oh man, maybe a Gallery brush. So it seems like maybe they've worked some of that out. I think I was reading a thread last night, and it seems like maybe they've worked some of those issues out, and hopefully going forward, the brushes will work. And at that point, maybe I'll entertain one, but that's really the only thing that I think, as far as I'm concerned, that's been the biggest issue, is just sending out products that just don't work.
Yeah, this is an interesting discussion point, Jensen. I think on the positive side, I think obviously the posse has been involved in a little bit of this. I think it shows that guerrilla marketing, or whatever you want to call it, where you're using people that have scale modeling channels and outlets, can be a really effective way to kind of get your product out there and in front of people. And I think that's really good. I think it's good for everybody. I think as far as how credible are the reviews, I think that sort of depends on the reviewer. Clayton Ockerby works for the Modeling News and then has his own channel. And, I think he's done a really good job of saying this kit was really, really good, or, this kit really kind of, I'll refer everybody to Clayton's review of the Weasel by Tacom. He's kind of been historically a big Tacom fan, but I think he really kind of didn't pull any punches when the Weasel came out, and it really underwhelmed him, and really had some issues on the build. I think he was pretty straightforward about stepping up. So I think the answer to that is, who are you listening to, or what are you watching, and how much credibility do they have? I don't see it changing. I think it's going to continue on, but I think it's really good. If I've never tried Gen 3 products, the best way to try them and really give people an impression or show them how they work is to get it in your hands and do it, and that's certainly our take on this as the posse, is we try and, bring products to people's attention that we're excited about. And sometimes that means we purchase them with our own money. And sometimes that means that the manufacturer saying, hey, take a look at this and let people know. I know I can speak for AK and Tamiya and Bases by Bill. All of those manufacturers have been very explicit in saying, we'd really like you to take a look at these and show people what you think, but please be honest. None of them have implied or asked for any kind of deception. That they just say, look, tell people what you honestly think, and we'll be happy with that. Jensen, what are some of your thoughts on sort of what we've done as a podcast and some of those other things?
Yeah, it's one of those. Using the names we've put the podcast behind are reputable companies with good products. And I think that's one of the things I wanted to make a point of as well, is when partnerships happen, it's a two-way street, really. You have to be very careful when you put your name behind something as well. A lot of people might think, oh, it's okay, you're getting free stuff. It's like, yeah, but say as a podcast, the Triple P, we don't want to put our name behind something that is really faulty or really poor quality. That reflects on us as well. And it's the same like with these airbrush or anything being sent out now. These YouTubers, I know James Kahn, LPJ, he recently reviewed the gallery airbrushes. When you put your name behind something, it carries a lot of weight. And that's why I think it's good. Like you say, these companies do say, if it's crap, tell us it's crap. That's a good company. That's a company that values feedback and can improve its products. And yeah, that's really important. It's very much a two-way thing. It's like, okay, we get a name associated, partnered with us. But again, with that comes all our listeners and people who support us are trusting our opinion and view that, hey, these products are really good. Maybe I should try them. There's a lot of weight there. And it's really important to have credibility and honesty and be really open about it.
Yeah, I'm going to jump in there and say the same thing. I mean, I think a perfect example of this is what Sam Dwyer said in our interview just a little bit ago, is that he noticed on the M2A4 Bradley that the GPS was not on top of the doghouse. Doghouse is the gunner site for the Bradley. He contacted Magic Factory out of his own and said, hey, you're missing this. They said, can you send us a couple pictures? They did. Boom, it's in the new kits. So, that's a company, in my opinion, that is looking to make a great product, and it's something that you want to get behind. What about advertising? Advertising is advertising. I mean, we are sitting here a day before the Super Bowl where people are going to be spending millions and millions and millions of dollars for 30 seconds. So advertising is going to be what it is. This aggressive advertising is the world we live in. That's just something you got to. And I'll just take the airbrush as an example. They have to compete against Awada. They have to compete against AK, MIG, all these other Badger, all these other major corporations that have a history, and now they have to do something to help them do it. Are they asking for genuine reviews? Yes, they are. And is it going to help them? Yes, there is. Yes, it will. But that's just I think that kind of faces that is what we live in. But go back what Scott and Jensen said is that we don't put our name with something unless we think and we know that it's a quality product, because we don't want to give people bad things. And and I'll say this, and probably upset Scott a little bit, but Scott is very, very, very vocal about this to sponsors. He says this is the way it's going to be, and if you don't do this, we're out. We are done. We're not going to sponsor you anymore, and which is great. That's the way I think it should be. There's an out clause, basically, is what I'm trying to say. And I always look back to quality products. We get some Tamiya stuff, we get some AK stuff, but I love the relationship we have with Tankraft. Tankraft has been with us before I even joined the posse. They have been here. A great organization, great people. We love their products. We use their products. They have quality products, and I will stand behind them no matter what. And that's just the way they are. If we see something wrong, or if one of us says, "Hey, I think there's something wrong with this mat," or yada yada yada, I know Tankraft would fix it in a heartbeat. That's just the way they are. Long story short, advertising is advertising. We're going to have it no matter what. I'm actually for it to get people out there to review items, because like I said, and Jensen definitely said, is that they find errors, and a company wants to know if their product is not quality. I don't care. Every company wants to know that. They don't want to put a bad, because that's money out of their pocket if they have a product that doesn't sell.
That's a great point, Grant. Let's break it down too. I think there's a couple of real advantages for using, let's just take podcasts, because that's what we know, right? First of all, the new Tamiya Leopard. A lot of people are looking at it and making the assumption. I've seen lots of comments online. Oh, it's just a retool. It's just a retool. A kit's not a retool. And I read kind of a pretty detailed breakdown of it by Marcus Nichols. We're going to try and get one in our hands and let people know what it's like. But the new Tamiya Leopard is a completely tooled brand new kit. And so when you use a podcast or you use a Marcus Nichols on Facebook or whatever, you have the opportunity to really get a lot more detailed information to your audience. Second thing is podcasts and YouTube channels and Facebook pages are extremely concentrated. Grant, you brought up the Super Bowl. If people advertise on the Super Bowl, yes, millions and millions of people will see it. But for a niche product like a hobby, how many people of those millions of people really want the product versus people that listen to the Triple P or look at Marcus Nichols and Tamiya Magazine or, watch Night Shift? Everybody that watches those videos are going to be pretty much interested in the product. So you get a really focused approach. And so I think it's a really good symbiotic relationship. At least that's my hope, is that our listeners get the information. They get to hear, okay, the new TACOM kit, this is what's really great about it. I'm building one. I really, really liked it. So they get very, very specific information, and the manufacturer then gets feedback and knows that they're getting a very targeted, penetration into the market.
No, I agree. I mean, you're spot on. I just think it's the way it is now, is that we're going to have not aggressive. I don't want to say aggressive. Aggressive is kind of wrong. I like your word, focused advertising. So I think that, it's a great topic. We're starting to see it more and more. And I think, it is what it is. I'm sorry to say that, but that's kind of the world we live in now. That's my thought.
Capitalism. Companies come out and they compete for custom. And usually that means companies have to try and be the best to supply a demand that people want. And here's a new company that, like Grant said, has to compete with Harder Steinbeck, Iwata, and if this gets their name out there, and let's face it, it's worked. So all of a sudden, everyone's like, oh, I've heard of them. It's like, oh yeah, you've seen them everywhere. So it's not stupid if it works.
Exactly.
Absolutely. Oh, great discussion point, Jensen. I really enjoyed that topic, and hopefully the listeners out there did as well. If you have some thoughts on that, as always, please forward those to to Grant at plasticpossepodcast@gmail.com. Yeah. And let us know what you think. Do we give too much information or advertise too much? What do you think about the Posse's approach? We'll be interested to see what you think. Just a reminder, the Plastic Posse is just one of several great scale modeling podcasts. If you're interested in more content about scale modeling, I mean, who isn't, right? You can head on over to modelpodcast.com, where you will find links to many other great podcasts about our hobby, as well as several excellent modeling blogs and vlogs. A few of our favorites are Stephen Lee's Sprue Pie with Frets, Chris Wallace's Model Airplane Maker, A Scale Canadian TV with Mr. Jim Bates, and David Brian Bridges' DB Scale Model Studio blog. And now, Jensen, what time is it?
We know what time it is. It's time for merch. If you would like to rep the posse, check out our awesome merch on our Triple P Spring page. You can find coffee mugs, t-shirts, jumpers, or even some of our world-famous Triple P lounge trousers. You can order all of your stylish Plastic Posse merch on the web at plasticpossepodcastcreatorspring.com or loungetrousers.com.
All right, guys. Well, so I guess I'll go ahead and wrap it up as a guest. Like second time, you have to.
Mm-hmm.
Just
rite of passage.
Yeah. Okay. Making it happen. So thanks for riding along with us for episode 87 of the Plastic Posse. We appreciate your support as well as the support of our awesome Patreons. We also want to thank Tankcraft, Tamiya USA, and AK Interactive for the support of what we do. Remember, the Plastic Posse is available on YouTube as well. We will return in 2 weeks with more fun and great discussions about scale modeling. Do you have feedback, suggestions, or ideas, or just want to drop us a line? Send your feedback to us via email at plasticpossepodcast@gmail.com. Yeah.
No.
Okay, here we go. Yeehaw.
There we go, right from Texas, everybody.
Was that Texan enough for you?
That was golden.
Wow, put that on a loop.
Oh, good Lord, don't do it. Don't give Scott any ideas.
One of the ways that you can help support the Plastic Posse is become a Plastic Posse Outrider. If you want to become a Plastic Posse Outrider, it's super easy. Go to our Patreon at www.patreon.com/Plastic Posse Podcast and set up a recurring donation there. These contributions help offset the cost of bringing you the Triple P. There are 3 different tiers of support, starting at just $1 a month or £1. There are some great benefits to being an Outrider, like early access to the podcast, premium access to the host, the chance to appear on a podcast, and exclusive Triple P content and social events at model shows. JB recently dropped an inaugural PDF magazine called The Prospector. This is an e-publication, is a PDF, and is only intended for our Triple P patrons. This should be a monthly publication and will feature builds, articles, Triple P related content. Thanks to all the new Outriders who joined in the last 2 weeks, and hope you liked the first Prospector.
Let's recognize our amazing deputy marshals. These guys step up and help the posse do what we do, and we sincerely thank each of you for your support. Got a little bit longer list than normal. We've got some new ones. So Ben Hardaway, Adam Jackson, James Mirando, Casey Gray, Mike Norris, Stephen Rodwell, Rick Cooper, Tim Gidcombe, Dan Newman, Robert Blocker, Tyler Moore, Derek Post, Craig Flynn, Brian Kreiner, Scale Modelcraft, Ken Childress, Nick Butta, Drew Gardner, Scott Hall, Frank Perrone, the voice of Bob, Jeremy Diamond, Ryan Smith, Terry Wilkinson, Chris Lovewell, Andrew Callis, Ethan Eidenmill, Bruce the Model Noob, Steve Baker, Eric DeGleish, Joe Porche, Patrick Brown, Steve Schaefer, Jay Kidd, Brandon Gentry, Robert Klein, Mark Ewing, Ted Kawahara, Toad Man, Model Doc, Doug Reed, Greg James, Les Workala, John Everett, Josh Buck, How am I doing? Thomas Bannock, Mark Bradley, Zach Pease, Joel Munson, Eric Brubaker, Jeremy Moore, DB Scale Model Studio, Matt Johnston, Jeremy Elliott, Mike Talley, Previous Seat, Mediocre Middle-Aged Modeler, Hey Shafe, Dan Knopfel, and Mr. J.C. Osborne.
Wow. Let's also recognize our excellent posse foremen. These foremen are outriders who give the deputy marshals a hand. We got Gil, Mike, Michael, Steve, Winston, Scott, Emery, the Krieger, Keith, William, Tim, Jeff, Eddie, Ross, George, Gary, Walhoff Models, Ross, Eric, Lynn, Cliff, Eric, Papa Steve, Red Beach One Studios, MD Models, JV, Damian, Keenan, Cody, Tim, Nuke Man Mike, Greg, Ash, Irish Pat, Paul, what's the deal with iBones Models? I don't know. Mr. Grizz, Jackson, Mach-A Models, Chris, Lee, and Jamie. And, of course, our Posse Outriders. Lastly, if you would please consider posting a review of the Triple P on the podcast platform you listen to. Each 5-star review helps other modelers find the Plastic Posse.